Hello, very good morning to you. Welcome to The Big Issue. We are live on 97.3 City FM on Channel 1 Television. And of course, on Channel 1 Television, we are on DSTV Channel 363. We are happy that you have joined us this morning. It's a new year, it's a new day, and we hope that this new year brings us good things. And we wish each and every one of you a happy new year. And we hope that our country develops better this year. The show, as always, is live and interactive. You can join us via our WhatsApp line 0539-986-996 or 020-444-7033, and we'll be happy to share your views with the rest of the world. I am Selom Adunu. This morning, there are two key issues we have on the table for you. John Mahama has been 1 year in office since he took the oath of office on January 7, 2025. A number of things have been said about his first term. Many think that he's been successful. Others also think that it's been optics and nothing to write home about. We want to discuss that today, analyze some of the key areas of governance, of the economy, and even the environment, and see how the government has fared over the period. We'll be happy to hear from you on this. A key part of this is oral. The Operation Recover or the loot was a major plank of the NDC's campaign, and indeed, people say a lot of people voted for the NDC because of oral. 1 year on, how has oral fared? A committee was formed even before the government took office or the president took office to collate some evidence and complaints from the public. How far has that been? Some 2 billion or so or more was said to be money that could be recoverable. How much of that have we recovered over the period? We'll look at all of that this morning. I'll take a short break. I'll return, and then we'll get a discussion underway. Once again, this is a big issue. You're welcome.
10 years of unforgettable memories, breathtaking sights, unlimited excitement, new friendships. And this March, we're turning it all the way up. From the 1st to the 8th of March 2026, get ready for the road trip of a lifetime. 8 epic days, 14 regions, 1 legendary caravan. We roll from Greater Accra through the Eastern region, cruise into the Northern and Upper East regions, vibe through the Western region, and hit many more iconic destinations across Ghana. It's culture, it's adventure, it's pure discovery with the best people and the best vibes. Expect non-stop fun, endless scenic views, deep cultural immersion, new networks, and friendships and memories that will outlive the journey. Seats are limited, and this is the 10th anniversary. You cannot miss it. Watch out for details soon.
The Sweet Root Secondary School's Wesco Alumni Association invites all alumni to its annual all-year groups Thanksgiving and Remembrance Service. There will be remembrance of the departed PACAs and also the launch of the 67th Speech and Prize Giving Day. The date, Sunday the 18th of January 2026. Time, it's 2 p.m. Venue, Cedar Mountain Assemblies of God Church, East Legon. Contact your year group president and register your attendance now. Semper Cum Optimus, always with the best.
Hi, welcome back. This is The Big Issue. We are live on 97.3 City FM. It's a platform for incisive analysis and riveting conversation. I am Selom Adunu. Two key issues we're looking at this morning. The Mahama administration turned 1 year in the course of the week, and we're doing some analysis on how the government has fared in the area of economy, governance, and even the environment. And the governance will involve how the government has been fighting corruption, what anti-corruption measures has been putting in place to fight the canker. And oral is a key part of that, and we'll look at that even in the first part of the program with the former Auditor General and a member of the oral committee, Daniel Domelevo, in a minute. We'll also look at the Ofori-Atta matter. He was detained by the ICE of the US in the course of the week, at least as it became public. And we are aware that his lawyers say they are working to get him released, and he had earlier submitted a petition to change his status in the US so he could stay there for long. What it means is that he has no visa, or his visa is expired or revoked, whichever it is. It's been revoked or expired since sometime last year. And because of that, his stay in the US has been illegal. That is why ICE, which is an immigration enforcement agency of the US, picked him up and is currently in detention. We understand that sometime in the middle of the month, he will have to go to court, or the processes will start. And that will mean that he may be deported to Ghana, or he may stay in the US legally. His stay in the US may be extended. So whatever it is, we'll bring that to you. Let's go straight to the line and begin our conversation with the Daniel Domelevo, the former Auditor General and member of the Oral Committee. Hello, good morning, sir. Welcome to The Big Issue.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity.
Happy New Year to you. It's a pleasure to see you once again.
Yes, many happy returns.
Yes.
It's a pleasure seeing you.
Great. Just a quick one. 1 year of President John Dramani Mahama's governance so far. What are your quick thoughts on what you think is gone well, and what you think could be better, or what hasn't gone well?
Well, thank you for the question. 1 year, I have not done a very critical analysis of the 1 year, but following from what I have been seeing and hearing, when I say seeing and hearing, most of them from the media and from social media, because I spend most of my time outside the country, I think so far so good. And if I can paraphrase Honorable Andy Apia Kubi's statement, that if it takes even the devil to fix the country, he will support it. I think that is a profound statement, and I think the government so far has done well. When it comes to issues of safety or peace in the country, I think Ghana is reasonably peaceful, except for isolated cases like what is happening in Boko and a few other areas, which has been with us for several years. I think things are moving very well. People who came for that program, I don't know what it is called, Dirty December or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. If you hear their feedback, they are very happy about one particular thing. Ghana is so peaceful and safe, they always claim. So I think that is very good. When it comes to economic management, all the indicators I think are looking very good. We have an increased import cover. The economy GDP has grown. Interest rates have fallen. Inflation has come down as low as I think around 6%.
I think 5.4.
5.4. I can't believe that. If you had asked me to predict a year ago, I would have said maybe around 15 or 14 or thereabout. It has come at that low. And the most important indicator, which we are told by our former Vice President, His Excellency Mahmoud Bawumia, is that when in doubt, look at the exchange rate. The exchange rate has also performed very creditably. And so I think so far so good. But one of the happiness I have so far is that we have gone a full year, and I have not, or we have not yet heard of any scandal or any big issue of corruption happening in the country. I think that is commendable. I hope and pray that we are able to keep it till the end of the tenure of the president.
I see. Great. Now, talking about scandal or corruption, let's now get into the meat of the matter, oral. You were part of the committee put together by the president even before he took office to look into the matters of oral, collate some evidence or complaints and present same to him. You did that, and your committee was chaired by the Honorable Ablakwa, now Foreign Affairs Minister. After doing all the work you did, sitting back for about 1 year and observing things, would you say that you are impressed with how the government is proceeded with the work you have done?
The answer is yes and no. Government has taken our report and it was given to the Attorney General, who forwarded it to the law enforcement agencies, including the OSP and the NIB, and they are doing their investigation, which I think is commendable. But the speed at which they are moving has always been my worry. And when I talk about the speed, many people misunderstand me to say that the investigation is not quick. That is not what I'm talking about. My major concern about the oral is that it is not going to be successful if we keep or maintain the same legal framework and institutional arrangements for fighting corruption and corruption-related issues. What am I talking about? As we speak today, or as you and me, we are having this discussion, to establish guilt against someone for financial crimes, the person, it must be proven by prosecution beyond reasonable doubt. And financial crimes or corruption and corruption-related issues are not issues that are very easy to establish beyond reasonable doubt, because the perpetrators of this type of crime are very intelligent and sophisticated persons. And after receiving the proceeds of crime, they are also able to manipulate evidence, even including influencing the investigators and the prosecution, and at times even the judges. So it is not going to be easy. So I think the low-hanging fruit, which are not being plugged, is what my major concerns, my concerns are about. One, if we had changed the legal framework, said that for corruption and corruption-related cases of financial crimes, one does not need to prove beyond reasonable doubt. Once it can be established that Daniel is in possession of resources or assets that do not match his known sources of income, then the onus should shift to Daniel to prove to us how he or she got it, if it's a lady. So if we do that reverse burden or lifestyle audit or unexplained wealth, I am sure that alone can deter people who intend even stealing. And of course, those who have stolen, we can easily get them to refund the money to us and maybe punish them or whatever it is. Another issue I've raised over and over, if you permit me, is the time it takes to try these cases. You will notice that cases go to court and they stay in court for years. We should legislate quickly to say that on this type of crimes, it can take you 6 months or 1 year, so that we know that there will be finality to the hearing. Otherwise, we are going to continue with it till one day there is a change in government and then the case drops off or they file nulli prosequi, etc. If we don't do this, including, of course, I've also been advocating for it, amending the Internal Audit Agency Act, so to make these internal auditors independent so that they can hold spending officers or principal spending officers accountable. And you agree with me, as for the public office, conduct of public office holders bill, has been on the table for how many years? Before I became Auditor General in 2016, it has been there. Nanado promised he was going to give us one which is of international standard or world class. He did nothing. And 1 year gone, I thought that bill should have been passed now to show that we are not going to tolerate any misbehavior in the public sector. So these are my challenges, these are my concerns. And whenever I raise them, Some people don't understand. They say maybe I'm criticizing the Attorney General. Yes, if I'm criticizing him, is because he has not changed the legal framework, which makes the fight easier. As it is now, the fight favors those who are rather corrupt or misusing our resources.
In terms of changing the legal framework, is it not enough to hear that the Attorney General is assured that it is looking at that particular framework and in due course that will change? It is a law. Changing the law on a thing like this will require a lot of stakeholder engagement because it's a crucial matter. You want it done quickly. Won't we be rushing to getting this thing passed when indeed more stakeholder engagement could have been held to make it richer and better and more encompassing?
Absolutely. But my brother, we've gone past 1 year. When I say time is running out, people don't get me. I remember 3 months ago, I said 9 months, and people say 9 months is short. Now 1 year is gone. We've gone 1/4 of the term of tenure of office for His Excellency John Mahama. So a whole year is gone. We are left with only 3. And well, I don't know whether those stakeholder consultations and etc. are being done, but we should have seen at least a bill in the public domain now giving us the assurance that if Ghanaians support it and Parliament passes it, very soon you can't just go into public office and within 3 or 4 years you are so rich compared to the small salary that you receive. So this is what I'm saying, that well, if he is doing some work, yes, no problem. He has been holding press conferences. He should update us on it to say that, look, I have this bill, it is before cabinet, or it is in my office, I'm here to submit it, or it has passed cabinet and it is going to Parliament, etc. If he brings us to speed on this, I think it would be fantastic.
Great. And you presented a report to the president, which had, over 20,000 or over 2,400 complaints in all. The Attorney General has begun prosecuting some cases. Do you see any of these over 2,000 complaints or cases you identified in the list of the cases the Attorney General has begun prosecuting? Did you find any of those cases in there yet?
To be honest with you, I have not checked because the cases are so plenty and I have not checked. But I am sure 1 or 2 may be inside there. And I think that in my considered opinion, again, when I say some things, people don't agree with me, but I think the report that we submitted to Attorney General was not right for prosecution. It requires auditing and investigating to establish the infractions. And that is one of the areas that I thought the presidency or the president can depend, or the Attorney General can depend on Clause 8 of Article 187, which empowers the president that in the national interest, he can request the Auditor General to perform some audits. So if those audits were pushed, or those reports were pushed to the Auditor General for a forensic audit, I think we will have been making a lot of progress by now. I am aware that he is doing that of the cathedral, but the Auditor General has a big team of auditors, more than 3,000. So several groups can can be running in parallel, so that we don't do one, then we go to the next one, we don't do 2, and then we go to the next 3. No, we do this in parallel. Speed is what I've been calling for. Well, maybe it may not be, it may not stand very well or sit very well with Attorney General and his team, but I think time is of essence. Corruption at times does not need to win. All that it requires at times is time. With time, the sentiments, the feelings, everything goes away. And like you said, oral was a big plank that was used during the 2024 election. And we must keep it hot so that the public will not lose confidence over what we are doing so far. Thank you.
So from where you sit, You said we have to keep it hot. From where you sit, it's not as hot as you would have wanted it to be, obviously. But the other point is that what really is oral? It's Operation Recover All the Loot. You know, but what we see is the sentiment for people to be jailed. These are two different things. Recovering the loot, as well, the Attorney General is saying that people want to cut a deal with him and is inviting them to come, so and all of that. You know, that is recovering the loot, or the process of recovering the loot. But people rather want people jailed. What really was the thinking in the committee? What was your mandate really and the thinking in the committee in respect of recovering the loot and jailing people?
The committee's mandate was simply to receive complaints. And we received more than 2,000 complaints. A lot of them were chaff. We threw them away. There were a lot of garbage, which for some of them, it was not any wrongdoing. It was like, you belong to a certain party or you belong to a certain group. That is why we are complaining about you. So we threw those garbage away. And what we submitted to Attorney General was on the surface of the evidence we had received. To us, we thought those can be investigated and possibly prosecuted. Whereas the focus is on recovering the loot. If you remember, prior to the elections, the promise of the president and the NDC was also that they were going to jail the looters. It was not only recovering the loot. I remember even the president made some promise like that. Yes, we will recover. I personally, my focus or my preference is recovering the loot plus taking something in addition. For instance, you can't take 10 million and we collect 10 million from you and say you are scot-free. No. Whereas I'm one of the people who do not really subscribe to jail sentence. If you take 10 million, we take 20 million from you, or 15 million. At least we must get something more from you. And all this cannot easily be done if we maintain the current legal framework. That is my argument. And that is where I am not seeing it as hot as it should be. Even if we had not jailed anybody yet, even if we have not even started prosecuting a lot of people, but the legal framework has been changed to signal that you can't play with our money anymore. If you go into a public office, you declare your assets. If we get to know that you have acquired assets beyond your means, you are going to be jailed or you are going to be prosecuted. I think this brings about deterrence. And that will be fantastic. But however, let me also be quick to say that the recovery of the loot is very important, but not as important as preventing the loot. And that is where I think government so far has done very well in not suffering any scandal as at now. But it will be better to also add the legal framework, changes in the legal framework, so to bring about the necessary deterrence that we expect.
What is your suspicion? This legal framework matter you are talking about, and it's been a year, like you rightly said. The legal framework will seek to question what we may call unexplained wealth, etc. This applies to everybody, but often it is public officials that we keep pointing our fingers at, and a lot of them being politicians. Do you have the feeling that we don't seem to have the political will to get this legal framework in place because it may appear that the political class will be going after its own self? Do you have that suspicion?
Actually, that is always the case with public sector reform. I've always been referring to public sector reform as, I liken it to someone sitting or standing in a basket or bucket, and you ask him to lift himself up. It is his weight which is keeping the basket down in the first place. So it is never going to be lifted up. More or less, the public sector leaders are the problem. So changing becomes very difficult. Anytime we propose things like this, people look at themselves first. That is, if the unexplained wealth, if the reverse burden becomes part of our legal framework, can they pass the test? So I suspect that it may be part of the reason. But then I don't think Ghana is alone. It is something which has been done in several countries. Mm. So we can also learn from that and do better.
Mm. The oral, your committee said that you reviewed 36 cases estimated at $20.49 billion. That is quite ambitious. And like you said, a lot of the cases or some of the cases that came to you were garbage, so you threw them away. And you've also said that, the report was not ripe for prosecution. So on what basis was this estimate made? Somebody makes a complaint that this person is amassed or he's stolen this amount of money, which is an allegation, and then you add that value to the total you are having to bring it to 20.49 billion. Is that not too ambitious, or was that not too ambitious? And was that not also raising the expectation of the public too much that now it is coming back to haunt you?
Remember, I said that we looked at the complaints, and those that on the face of it have some substance. We could see there are some infractions being alleged. We put them together and submitted it to the president for onward submission to the Attorney General. Never has the committee ever said that we have investigated the allegations. And of course, being a former Auditor General or being an accountant, I know that most of the times when you start an investigation, your initial or preliminary findings can be alarming. But after going through the full cycle of the investigation, you may realize that the residue becomes very small. In some cases too, the initial finding may be very, very little. But by the time you finish, it is so huge. That is the reason why I have from day one repeatedly said that the result of our work must be subjected to further forensic audit or investigation, so to be able to establish the guilt, and then we go forward. So we estimated the 21 billion based upon the complaints that were before us or what we had received, and we thought they were infractions. And you know that even when these infractions are all investigated, let's assume that the 21 or thereabout $1 billion are all investigated, and the investigators think there is wrongdoing, people must be prosecuted. If it goes to court, it lies with the court to determine whether there is a guilt or there is no guilt. And even I've made this point earlier on, and I will not hesitate to repeat it. In situations where even the courts have agreed or found people guilty and say refund the money, recouping that money is itself another ball game altogether. And I remember the case of Honorable Wyoming. I don't know whether the monies that the Supreme Court said, or the court said he should refund, whether it has all been refunded. So it becomes a challenge even after that. So we never thought, or my thinking was never that we are going to recover the total amount. We may be able to recover a substantial part of it, or we may exceed it, depending upon what the investigations will come out with. Thank you.
I see. Thanks so much. So I'll take a short break. When I come back, we'll look at the other sides of the discussion. This is the big issue on 97.3 City FM. Two key things we are looking at this morning. 1 year of President John Mahama's tenure. What is your verdict? You think the government is doing well, or they're just managing the optics? We've just been speaking to former Auditor General and member of the Oral Committee, Daniel Domelevo, on his thoughts on the work they did and presented to the president in respect of the Operation Recover or the Loot Committee, the complaints they received and its estimated value, etc. He thinks that the legal framework of the country must change so that lifestyle audits can be more effective. He also thinks that the time it takes to try cases is too long, even though I doubt if anything can be done in respect of that, because these are criminal matters and you want to give the accused, all the opportunities that may be available to him in law to vindicate his rights. And then a few other things he says, amending the Internal Audit Act to make that institution more effective, amongst other things. I'll take a short break. When I come back, we will now delve into the 1 year proper with my guests, and Daniel Domelevo will be on as well, but he just had to deal with the matter of the oral because it is an important aspect of this government's promise it made to the people before when it came to government. We'll be right back after this short break. Don't go away.
It's time to promote volunteerism, active citizenship, and patriotism in Ghanaian society.
Where we shine the spotlight on the unsung heroes among us.
Today, we're not just launching a program, we're igniting a revolution of skills, dreams, and hope.
On Volunteers TV, we highlight and celebrate people and groups that are great examples to us all.
Every single region in Ghana, we're doing something.
Good.
So no one's being left behind.
Over 800 kids that come to school, so having an extra classroom, extra resources will be really, really beneficial.
If you're a volunteer, you are actually serving because you are giving up your time and resources for nothing in return.
Volunteers TV, Sunday at 6:30 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
In a nation full of questions, where truth often hides behind noise, one show dares to ask what truly matters face to face. With fearless clarity and a quest for accountability, host Ofori-Atta Amadou sits down with the movers and shakers of politics, governance, society, and business, confronting the issues that define our national conversation.
Yes, I am Ofori-Atta Amadou. This is Face to Face, and you're welcome.
I say very often on the floor of Parliament that when we were in government, we got some things right, we got some things wrong.
Are you still planning to go to Parliament, or you want to look at National Party office position?
No, I'll be going back to Parliament. There's an unfinished business which I need to do.
Sports has 3 legs: development, management, and promotion.
Disintegration is extreme. We do not wish that even on your worst enemy.
Every Tuesday at 9 p.m., join Ofori-Atta Amadou on Face to Face as he digs deeper, challenges power, and reveals the stories shaping Ghana's future. Only on Channel 1 TV.
Yeah, welcome back. This is The Big Issue. We are live on 97.3 City FM. The show is live and interactive, and you can join the discussion via WhatsApp line 0539 986 996, 0539 986 996, or 020 7033, which has been displayed on your screen, and we'll be happy to share your views with the rest of the world. Now, let's get to the 1-year anniversary proper. Now, President Mahama has celebrated his 1-year anniversary in office, describing the period as one marked by difficult but necessary decisions that have laid a foundation for sustainable growth. At the Thanksgiving ceremony held at the Jubilee House, President John Mahama said his government will prioritize policies and programs that deliver more tangible benefits to the citizens. This is Akosia Ochiri's report.
I shall submit myself.
I shall submit myself
To the laws of the Republic of Ghana.
to the laws of the Republic of Ghana
And suffer.
and suffer
The penalty for it.
the penalty for it.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
January 7 marks exactly 1 year since President John Dramani Mahama swore the oath of office, the oath of allegiance, and the oath of secrecy to the people of Ghana as he assumed office for the second time as president. The Thanksgiving service, according to clergymen present, was necessary as the journey over the past year has been marked by both successes and challenges.
The Bible says, in all things we should give God thanks, inasmuch as we are counting many successes chalked by this administration. We also remember the tragedy that befell this country that threw us into pain and mourning, the helicopter crash that led to the perishing of some of the gallant men of this country, and several other negative incidents that happened. We are here to thank God for the good, the bad, and the ugly.
na wontiti o man se de sifata me kai kai tembia Omo from no grassroots no umien hwe omu ye na omo so daachi omo ana eden ene besoa oman ede amayen.
During the ceremony, the mandates given to the president was reflected upon, as he noted the focus of his first year was on stabilizing the economy and establishing strong foundations.
As we look back on the past year, we do so honestly. We have taken difficult decisions. We have undertaken difficult reforms. We've laid the foundations that may not yet be visible, but are sustainable for the sustainable progress of our country. We have prioritized economic stabilization, institutional reform, social protection, and the restoration of confidence, both within our country and in the international community. The work we have begun is far from finished, but today reminds us that progress is not measured only by numbers and by charts and diagrams. It is also measured by hope that is restored, by trust that is rebuilt, and correct direction that is regained.
Some appointees of the government also expressed optimism about the direction of the administration.
2026 will be remarkable for President John Dramani Mahama in many respects. 2025, the focus was on the economic reset. We have achieved stability, inflation is down, exchange rate is better. What we need is to spur growth and anchor transformation so that we can improve the quality of life of the Ghanaian.
All right, so Channel 1 News' Jude Duncan has also been examining the much publicized oral Operation Recover All the Loot initiative, assessing its implementation after a year in office and weighing its achievements or shortcomings so far.
Operation Recover All Loot was unveiled as a flagship anti-corruption policy by President John Dramani Mahama in a run-up to the 2024 general elections. Following his electoral victory, the president set up a committee chaired by Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa to receive petitions and intelligence on alleged corruption. The committee was tasked with gathering information on suspected corrupt activities and referring such cases to the relevant law enforcement agencies for investigations and possible prosecution. Among high-profile cases currently under probe are those involving the former director of the National Signals Bureau, Kwabena Edubuahin, the National Service Ghost Name Scandal, and the SkyTrain Scandal, which implicates former board chairman of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, Professor Christopher Yao Ekumfi. The Member of Parliament for Menchia South, Nana Eje Bafuiwa, contends that the government's decision to discontinue corruption cases initiated by the previous administration against some NDC members signaled the early setbacks of the oral initiative.
I think that the Attorney General started failing the very day he filed the Nolly Prosequa in respect of members of the NDC who were standing trial prior to the government taking office.
So Dr. Dufour and the likes.
Yes, the government started failing because there's no discrimination in terms of public funds. There's no discrimination in terms of public funds as to, there's nothing like MPP money. There's not like NDC money.
State funds.
State funds. And so if you decide to let one go and prosecute the other, simply because the person you let go belongs to the same political party, then, of course, from that very day...
But I don't think the reasons for, letting go, as you put it, was because they are NDC members. Reasons were given. Are you saying all of the reasons given by the reasons were not satisfactory?
If the reasons were legitimate, you should have let them go through the full rigors of the trial and let the court decide. If indeed he was convinced, but the AG is not a judge. Yes, of course, he's a lawyer. He can evaluate the facts and take a certain view. But the AG sometimes takes a view, goes to court, and fails. That tells you that the AG's view is not gospel.
In response, Oral Committee member and private legal practitioner Martin Pebu has defended the Attorney General's approach to oral-related cases, assuring that more prosecutions are expected within the year.
You may have something to say Because on the face of it, once the Unibank case where the Attorney General accepted the plea bargaining, and then he's not accepting the plea bargain in the National Service scandal, yes, you can't fault a citizen who thinks that it's discriminatory, it's pick and choose. Yeah, you can. That's on the face of it. But when we drill deeper, we begin to understand why the Attorney General did so. You see, when the Attorney General accepted the plea bargain from the Dufors, that's the Unibank case, people bayed for his blood. We kept baying for his blood. People said, no, 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 no. The very thing that Sam did in the ambulance case. I remember the ambulance case, like what Godfrey Dami refused to collect the money. No, I want prosecution. I want prosecution. That's what people did to the Attorney General, saying, no, it's a slap on the wrist. How will people reform if you don't jail them? Meanwhile, this Unibank case is fraught with a lot of negative things and a lot of doubts and loopholes. So you can see that as time goes on, the Attorney General has been saying it, that there are more oral cases coming. So it's the AG who said it, that more oral cases are coming. That's why I said 2026 will be fireworks, more prosecutions, more recovery of the loot, and more of stopping the bleeding.
All right, so now let's turn our attention to the economy, because the president, John Mahama, his first year in office has been marked by some macroeconomic stabilization or stability, as data from the Ministry of Finance point to a strong economic turnaround. Inflation has slowed sharply, interest rates are falling, and economic growth has strengthened, laying the groundwork for higher expectations in the administration's second year. In the following report, Emmanuel Opon looks at some of the key economic indicators that shaped the government's first year.
Ghana's economy appears to have turned a corner in the first year of President John Dramani Mahama's administration, after a period marked by high inflation, inexpensive borrowing, and weak growth. Data from the Ministry of Finance shows the economy grew by 6.1% in the first 3 quarters of 2025, up from 5.7% in the same period last year, the fastest pace since 2019. Growth outside oil sector was even stronger, with non-oil GDP expanding by 7.5%, supporting job creation. Inflation fell sharply, dropping from 23.8% at the end of 2024 to 6.3% by November 2025, its lowest level in nearly 6 years, easing pressure on households. Lower inflation helped drive down Treasury bill rate from 30% to about 11%, cutting government borrowing costs. The cedi also posted its strongest gains in years, while external reserves and trade balances improved. These gains prompted credit rating upgrades by Fitch, Moody's, and S&P, pointing to growing economic stability.
All right, so that's a report filed by my colleague Emmanuel Opon, which looked at some key economic indicators that shaped the government's first year. Now, to help me do the discussion this morning, of course, the first part has been Daniel Domelevo, an anti-corruption crusader, a member of the oral team and former Auditor General, of course, the board chairman of IOCO as well. Now, we have Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary of the MPP, Duncan Amwa, Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, COPEC, Professor Patrick Isuming, who is an economist, Manasseh Azuri Awuni, an investigative journalist, Rashid Tanko, computer, the Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communications, GIFEC, and Franklin Kujo, President of Imani Africa. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Salom.
Yes, I start off with, let me start off with you, Prof. I mean, 1 year in office, what are your quick impressions? Of course, I know you speak in terms of the economy, but generally, what are your quick impressions on the first year in office of this government?
Good morning again. Good morning to viewers. Happy New Year. Thanks for having me. So I think you have to say the first year of the administration has gone well. I'm sure you spend time to delve into the economic numbers, but you get the sense from early on, right from the opening weeks of the administration, that there was a clear plan on what the strategy is and what they want to do. Whether you agree with all of it or not. You knew that there was a clear idea. This is what you want to do. And the president wasted no time in doing that. I think one of the things that the administration has succeeded in doing is change the mood of the country.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Because if you look at how, if you start from 2022, the kind of crisis that we've gone through, and, getting towards the end of 2024, you got a sense that, the economy was sitting on autopilot. Not much was happening. But the moment the election happened, if you track, for instance, the Bank of Ghana's Consumer and Business Sentiment Survey, the moment it was obvious that there's going to be a change, you began to see that, mood changed and sentiment shifted. I think then the administration also tapped into that and make sure that, for instance, the first budget that was read, the administration decided to honor some of the pledges and the promises that it has made. And through that, it just carried, many people along. So I think because of that, there's been a general positive sentiment about where the economy is headed and how But
this mood you talk about, changing the sentiment or changing the mood, is it not symptomatic of a new government feel? So, for example, in 2017, we saw a similar thing, and we saw how kind of Ofori-Atta's first budget, the Asempa budget, was received. They revoked or repealed or cancelled some taxes they called nuisance taxes, etc. The country felt good and felt happy. Is that a similar thing that we are seeing, or is this different in any way?
So it's absolutely similar in terms of the initial mood change. But if you look at how the administration has gone about its business, if you start from the economy, within a few weeks, it was clear that they are going to bring down treasury bill rate. So within 4 weeks of the new administration coming into power, that has started. So what is different is that the initial policies of the government has sort of reinforced that positive feeling, and it has helped to carry a lot of Ghanaians along. I think that is where, because things that have happened that, people living, Ghanaians are beginning to see that, okay, it is not just, on some aspects, it's not just the numbers. Because you look, for better or for worse, the currency has appreciated. Everybody is feeling what it is doing. Of course, it has its own negative impact that we haven't focused too much on it. But when people go to the pumps and prices are falling, they feel it. So outside of just saying, oh, the mood has changed and we have a new administration, so things are, there's that euphoria. Beyond the euphoria, what has happened in the first year has also helped to kind of get a lot of Ghanaians to begin to believe. So I think there's a sense that there's a new kind of belief of where the economy is headed and where this administration is taking the country. I think it goes beyond just the initial euphoria that comes with a change of party in administration.
I see. Haruna, the thing is, if the economy continues to do very well and people are happy, then it diminishes your chances of coming back to power. That's the reality of it. But what will you say about the first year of the government in terms of the economy?
Thank you, Salo. I would like to say good morning to my colleague panelists and your viewership out there. And Happy New Year to the entire staff of Channel 1 and City FM. For us...
Okay, I understand your microphone has issues. So, in as much as I wanted to hear, now let me go to Duncan, and I'll come back to you while they work on your microphone. Apologies for that. So, Duncan, first year in office, in terms of the economy, what will you say? What will be your scorecard, and what will account for that?
Well, Salom, let me say good morning to you, to the panel here, and of course to viewers at home. Happy New Year to everybody, equally.
Happy New Year.
coming from the difficulty that this economy witnessed a few months backwards, one can say that there seemed to have been some amounts of relief thrown to Ghanaians. As to whether the relief indeed has even gone down into the pockets of Ghanaians, we'll do some numbers this morning and see whether we are better off or worse off. We have done some computation, and so even on the petroleum front, there's quite something that you can talk of. But generally within the economy, I think people are feeling some relief, except that if you are somebody who was benefiting of treasury bills initially with very high rates, 26%, 25, 24, 28, and today is at 10, it means that your returns on those investments equally has also shrunk. So whilst there are positives, there are also a few other things that some people may equally be struggling with. But then again, if you ask we the Trotro people, as we usually call ourselves, it looks as though there's some relief. I recall not long ago there was the debate of whether if NDC had power, fuel prices were not going to be higher than they originally were before NPP left off. So that uncertainty hung over all of us as to whether we're going to pay more or pay a little less, as to whether we're going to get back to that era of erratic power supply, where you wake up, or before you wake up is gone, and then you get to sleep, before your eyes get shut, it's gone again. I think that the past 12 months has been a mixed bag, though generally, fairly speaking, has been a lot of an improvement over the things that we witnessed some 5, 4, 3 years back. I will not say we are out of the woods yet, so for the handlers of the economy, that everybody seems to say we are doing well, it's not time to go having kinky parties as we saw previously, because once you do that, you clearly are already jubilating even before the goal, the ball enters the net. And so I would still call for calm and insist that those handling the economy may have found a certain rhythm, a certain pathway that seem to let things work. Inflation, as we speak, is hovering around 5%. You have the lending rate equally coming down, which means that businesses should be able to access funds and be able to expand. Again, you also have fuel prices declining, but don't forget, within the same space of fuel declining, electricity cost and that of water has gone up. Some way, somehow, the argument has been that there's an IMF also on our necks, and so some of those come with the conditionalities as has been widely suggested. We are getting out of IMF. I don't know whether we'll sustain the kind of momentum we've built with electricity prices or pricing that are seeing some 14% here, some 2% adjustment here. If you sum them up together, you are doing about 20% within the 1 year period. And so whilst other things are coming down, there's also the need to not lose focus on the others that we seem to be paying higher for. There's also the issue of water supply within the country. A lot of people are going through it as I speak with you, Selom. It is not untrue that for most communities in Accra here and other parts of the country, the taps are simply not flowing. And so people have resorted to now buying water from these, the truck guys who bring water to us. It makes the cost of living quite expensive. I think that whilst we target the micro, indicators, the very things that also affect the pockets or livelihoods of Ghanaians, we should not lose focus on them. One being water. I think that Electricity, suffice to say, seem to be very stable now. The minister seems to have done a good job on that front. Just 3 days ago, I also heard even on your network where Ghana's petroleum upstream, we are injecting some 18%, additional flows with tallow. And so once that happens, what it means is that you may be getting a little more revenue than you originally got a few months back. And so whilst we attempt to reset, if I borrow the political cliche now,
it's not a national cliche, isn't it?
Well, some will tell you it is not resetting.
Okay.
Others will tell you, well,
no, I mean it's now been part of our lexicon, our language.
Yes.
Reset.
Yes.
It remains a political cliche.
Well,
okay.
I know. So for some, if you ask Ghanaians, what I heard from Global Info Analytics say that a lot of Ghanaians believe the country is headed in the right direction. I have hesitated giving a lot of the plaudits because normally when you are simply telling them that we have arrived. We haven't. We are still in the woods. I think that certain things do not add up. This week you had a conversation on fuel and the need for transport fares even to adjust downwards. You listen to the driver bodies and the excuse again is that the spare parts guys are not going down.
Yes.
So you see, whilst parts and pieces or some movable parts are moving in the right direction, it is not the entire, economy that seems to be
But
headed
they're talking about
in
that. The spare
trajectory.
parts guys, what they tell us is that, the dollar is a major determinant of their pricing. Now the dollar has been or the CD has been stable and even appreciated somewhat, against the dollar. So why is it difficult for them to reduce the prices? Initially, they said they had stock, so they had to clear that stock before they can apply the new rates to the new stock they will take. It's been a long time, over 8-9 months, and we've not seen that drastic reduction as expected.
You see, Salom, Prof would have been in a better position to educate us why prices are sticky upwards. It hardly would sticky downwards, rather. It would hardly drop when you want it to, because business people in Ghana, from the little I have gotten to know, are all about their profits. And they do not think that if I made a profit of 100,000 last year, I want to make 70,000 this year because the economy has recovered or the microeconomic indicators seem to be doing better. So for the businessman, I made 100,000. If I don't get anything at all this year, I should be able to make the 100,000 plus something, right? And so whatever they sold the parts for last year, that gave them those profits. Sometimes it's difficult for them to just decide that, look, let me cut back on it a little to give some relief to the driver. So you go back, they will tell you they've reduced something that could have gone down maybe 30%. They've reduced it and it's 5%. Sometimes just insignificant. The market women seem to have done quite good on the food basket inflation. If you look at the cost of food items, things that were selling for $650 now around $300, $350. Those ones you can actually measure. But when you come to the transport sector, look, insurance, a new year has begun. One would have expected that the insurance companies would do well to be reducing premiums. But I think your reporters, this coming week, can go out checking. A lot of the premiums would have gone up by 10%, 20%. So what it will mean to the operator is
but that's just one-off, and that's just one-off. But it's not something you pay every day.
If you do the spread, okay, if I was paying 500 a year ago, you move me to 600. There's 100 somewhere that I would need to recover on. If I had stayed at the 500 or come to, let's say, 480, even 20, Ghana minus, what you would have told me is that there's been some easing on my expenditure. And so I have some monies in pockets that I could also support family with, and for which if I don't recover so much from the transport user, I still will be able to stay good. If I need more to be able to sustain the same level of operation, then naturally one would say that cost has gone up rather for
and
them.
that should be
and
transferred to the
handlers of the economy done well on the micro, but some of the other bits and pieces is still a long way to go.
I see. Great. Let me come back to you, Haruna. Yes, you're making a point before your microphone.
Yes, Salome, I would go back to say good morning to your cherished viewers, and good morning to those on Zoom, and Prof. and then Mr. Duncan. For us, as a political party, we have said it over and over again. There is a relapse. For the past 1 year, and even in the assumption of the NDC party as government, there is a relapse in the sense that we've returned to the previous conditions that the current president, when he was sitting as president of the Republic of Ghana, there has been a dangerous economic experiment that we are going through. There has been lawlessness in our governance system, and deception has taken over the reins of governance system in our country. And we need to point out these particular critical matters within
the
space
relapse,
of 1 year.
Yeah, so just break them down for us so that we can follow you. Yeah.
The strongest economic measure in our country, or any other a country that you want to measure, is growth, GDP growth. We handed over a GDP growth of 5.7% to the NDC. At the end of the year, we are reporting a 4%. Even their budget for 2025 was targeting a 4% growth. Prof will tell us here, a 4% growth is not the same thing as 5.7% growth. So even from the beginning, as we set up the first budget, that is for the first quarter, the NDC themselves believed that they would not be able to meet the 5.7% growth. And it was reduced to 4%. And that has been what has been reported on. So it is something that we are all mindful of. If you are measuring.
But do you have the final GDP growth figures for the year? We don't have that. But there are indications that it may even go beyond the 5.7%.
Let the indications come true.
Okay, because you are basing everything on. And even if you look at the quarter by quarter rates or reports, I think it goes north of the 4%.
What was the quarter report of?
So I'll put that one out for you.
Of last year. That is in 2024. What was the quarter report?
No, but last year we have the full year report. We have the full
but I'm
year
saying
GDP
that
growth.
if you are also to go by quarter to quarter, you will see that the MPP was growing 8, 7, and all those particular points. But we ended with 5.7. And that is the growth. The NDC and the currently what we have, whether there is a future plan of it going up or coming down, they've grown the economy by 4%, which is the fact that everybody knows. Again, the MPP inherited an inflation of...
But the quarter by quarter, that is what culminates to give you the national...
So let them culminate. What we have now, the national, 2026 budget...
You have some data to share. Okay, no,
the 2026 budget
let Prof, because we're educating the public. So, Prof, what do you have as in that?
So if you check the first quarter of 2024, the growth rate was 4.5.
4.5.
And then for the first quarter of 2025, it was 6.4.
6.4, okay.
Then for second quarter, it was 5.7.
For 2024?
2024.
Okay.
And this time it's 6.5.
Okay.
And for third quarter, it was 7.0.
For 2024?
For 2024.
Okay.
And for 2025, it's 5.5. So this is the overall growth.
Okay, this is so
through the first 3 quarters.
The first 3 quarters, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So and the cumulative will give you at the end of the year 5.7.
Yes.
And then the NDC has given us 4.0%.
No, that was the target in the budget.
And what has been read in 2026 budget? That
but I think
GDP growth has been reported at 4%.
No. I'm not sure.
Do we have a cumulative report?
Not yet.
Yes, so you cannot use. Wait. You cannot use a quarter.
No, the year hasn't ended.
Yeah, but
and so they've not put the years ended, but they've not put together the data. I think it will come in the next few months. That's how it's been.
What has they projected to get?
No, they start.
I am asking. What have they
projection
is what?
The projection is different from the actual.
Yeah,
right?
but what? So what are you going to work with? What figure? You're going to work with 4%.
No, that's the projected.
But that's what they have reported.
That's what that is the actual.
Yeah, until the actual comes, you cannot change the projected figure.
No, what I'm saying, the projected is there. It's what you think.
And it remains the figure until the real.
Things may happen, and you do
let it happen and let them aggregate it and bring
quarter by quarter. So, for example,
I'm reporting on an annual GDP growth.
The quarter by quarter is what you put together.
I will not match an annual GDP growth of 5.7% to a quarter. I won't do that. That is not how economic data is analyzed. That is not how economic data is analyzed. Let's get the end year, and put it together with that.
But the end year is a combination of the various quarters. Quarter 1 is 6.4, quarter 2 is 6.5.
You don't put
quarter 3 is 5.5. Quarter 4 is yet to come. And if you look at that and you do it a quarter by quarter.
Okay, so if you have to go, if you want us to go and use that quarter, based on what Prof has said,
has provided,
the last quarter he reported was 7.something%.
7.0 against 5.5.
So why are we using 5.7?
No,
we are using the annual 5.7.
Yes, because something would have
matching the quarter to quarter. It means that in the last previous quarter, as against what they had, we had 7.7.
But how about the 4.5?
So the point
against the 6.4 that they had in Q1.
I'm saying we are using the last one. We are talking about the last quarter. You should understand me.
I'm saying that.
You see, you ask the questions.
Yes.
Okay? And I give you the answers. If you want us to use the last quarter assessment, which is 7.something%.
You cannot use the quarter. And
quarter by quarter. So if you want me to use the quarter by quarter, let me use their last quarter against our last quarter.
Why would you use your first quarter against your first quarter?
Prof, you see.
Or why would you use the 3 quarters together as an average?
Yeah,
but use your 3 quarters
because the 3 quarters culminates into what you earned, and what we ended based on the quarter report was 7.something%.
That's
and DS is 5.something%.
Q3.
Okay, so I am telling you that the biggest indicator of economic evaluation is the GDP, and we have overgrown the GDP, and they have brought it down. Even in 2026, they have targeting 4%. They don't even believe themselves. They are targeting 4%, and it is in the budget.
No, it's 4.8. 2026.
So it's still in the 4.
It's still in the 4. They don't believe themselves to grow the economy. Again, the MPP inherited an inflation of 15%.
Yes.
Before the crisis, we grew it to 7. We brought inflation down to 7.16%, 1%, and during the crisis, it went up to 53%. Then we brought it down to 23% and handed it over to the NDC. If you check,
you brought it to what, 23?
Yes.
But you took it from where in 2017 or 2016? Around 16 or 15?
Without crisis.
Yeah, no problem.
So during crisis, we went to 53.
Okay.
Even with the crisis, we brought it down to 23.
Okay.
And we put in measures as to how to be able to cap that. And the previous reports from the IMF were indicative of it coming down to the level of which we are seeing today.
So now it's 5.4.
Yes, fighting inflation or working on inflation is not a 90-day wonder. It starts from somewhere. And that is why the government had put in the measures to be able to bring down inflation. However, inflation has come down. Does it have a replicate effect in the pocket of the people of Ghana? Has the charge on rent changed? If there is some level of resemblance of reduction of prices within the market setup, what is the value? And what is the cost to the people of Ghana? Who and who benefits from that? Check the farmer, the average farmer. No farmer in this country today is laughing. No farmer. And I say that without any regret. No farmer in this country. I'm a farmer myself. Go and pick soya. Go and pick rice. Go and pick maize. No farmer will tell you that when they sell their rice or sell their soya or sell their maize or sell any other product, they will be able to go back and farm the same acreage. No farmer in Ghana will be able to do that.
But what accounts for that?
Because there is bad economic governance.
Is it not because
there is no clear strategy? There is no direction. There is no support. There is no improvement. Budget allocations cannot be met because the finance minister will not release the resources.
So on the screen is the inflation trend, December 2024 to December 2025. As we've seen, the 23.8%, as in December 2024 to 5.4% for December 2025. So it's been a downward trend, and the discussion really has been that it's been on a downward trend for some time, and so that's what it is, 5.4. Yes, and Haruna is saying that it's because there's been no crisis. That's why it's like that.
But we've put in measures, like I said, bringing it down is not a 9th-day wonder.
So
it's something
it's something you have to be credited with.
Sure, we worked on it. We put in measures. We went to IMF, the IMF conditionalities and what we have to do to get where it is, and it has not been abandoned.
Very well.
That is what we are there. Again,
yes.
Government revenue. We know that government revenue have collapsed.
How?
We have lost about 5% of government revenue, 5% to GDP, which is about 50 billion.
You've lost it how?
Because we have not been able to achieve that. We have not been able to achieve that. And that is why when you check...
Is it based on the target they set for themselves?
Sure. And when you check...
Just a while ago, you talked about targets, as in the GDP target of 4. And you're saying they don't even believe in themselves.
Yes, so,
now they believe in themselves. They set
a
very
target.
high target for
yes,
themselves.
and they have not been able to even meet it.
So where does that put your earlier argument?
So the earlier argument is that even the 4%, they may not even meet it. Because the report is not out.
Okay.
They may not even meet it. Because the revenue target they set themselves, it's a fact that we have lost 5% to GDP, which is a whooping 50 billion. And that is why when you go into their budget for the 1 year, they say that the National Apprenticeship Program, they budgeted 300 million. They were able to disburse only 21 million. When you go for the Jumawura project, they said they are going to do a Jumawura. They budgeted 100 million. 34.5 million was what was released. Again, if you go and look at the agri sector and the Women Development Bank, they budgeted a certain amount. They are not been able to meet that particular. Up to today, not even in cooperation, have they been able to do on that particular aspect. They said the codex, 0 million was released. Meanwhile, they budgeted 100 million. It's because there is 5% lost of GDP that the revenue they wanted to accrue is not been able, and they are not able to account to the people of Ghana. They are not telling us the truth. They are oversimplifying the matter, and there is a cost to us. I hear them talk about the exchange rate. You were asking about the spare parts and how it's tied to. You cannot sterilize the economy or sterilize the work on the exchange rate and expect it to have a greater impact at a cost to the people of Ghana. Remember when the minority raised the issue of them pumping money to show up and maintain the standard on the exchange rate? They denied until the IMF came up and they had to agree and tell us the truth. They now come out every month to whenever they are to pump.
But governments have always intervened in the market, haven't they?
We don't. We were not doing that.
No, you were using.
We were not doing it.
Eurobond money.
Did we come out to pump? Did we come out to pump money into? We did not. If we were to do that, the exchange rate would have come down. If we were to do that, we would have kept the inflation on check. But we said that it's a cost to the people of Ghana.
No,
but you don't do that.
No,
over 10 billion, which is more than what we went to the IMF for. Over $10 billion. You pump it into the system just because you want to maintain the exchange rate. Just because you want to maintain that.
No, but the point I'm making is that governments have always intervened in the market.
And I'm saying that the MPC did not do that. We did not pump money.
No, but pumping money means what? Pumping money means releasing forex to the bodies that need it, or releasing forex to the market. That's what the pumping means.
There is a
matter
clear
how-
strategy. There is a clear strategy to do that. What they are doing, we didn't do it.
So, for example, if BDCs need money to buy crude, you release the money to them. So
that was why we came out with the goal for oil, and then we also had the reserves.
But the goal for oil
we build those reserves.
It's a whole thing on its own.
No, I'm entitled to my argument. So the point is
go.
that it has its positives. Everything that you do has its positives
Very
and
well.
has its negatives.
Okay.
And,
so let me not finish all your points. I'll come back to you. Okay. No, you're on the road, but don't finish all your points. Let me let the others also have a bite.
Okay, but before I will pause on that, I would have wished that Mr. Domelevo would have talked about the audit service. The audit service is one of our clearest institutions of fighting corruption.
Yeah, but he said that.
But the audit service today, the budget to the audit service has been slashed.
By how much?
Their allowances alone has been stopped for 1 year. Clothing allowances, their salary arrears, as at October last year, they wrote to the ministry. So look, the institution that is supposed to be the watchdog has become the lapdog. These people have been brought down completely for them to be used for anything.
We will check that one.
Take your cameras, go and ask the audit service people. They are feeling it, but they cannot talk.
We will do that.
This government has rendered them useless.
We will do that. Of course, Rashid Tanko, who is CEO for GIFEC, is on for the NDC. Franklin Kujo, President in Money Africa. So, Frank, let me come to you. I will go to Tanko after you have spoken. Yes, so good to have you. Happy New Year to you, Franklin Kujo. And yes, the economy, what has worked and what hasn't worked?
Well, good morning to my friends in the studio. Good morning to everybody. Let me just say that, look, it's an interesting conversation to have. And Haruna, I'm wondering what type of story you're actually painting. But in any case, you are entitled to your opinions, but it appears you are painting a picture of, should I call it a scenario that I'm sure we can all say that I think you've exaggerated a little bit, but that's okay. Look, I think if you take a look at just take a look at the numbers. Numbers speak for themselves. By the way, if you look at the numbers, after the numbers, you can actually make the case that, look, as the president even suggested, that you don't even have to. He doesn't believe in just dealing with numbers per se, but it's also about how people are actually affected, right? Numbers don't mean anything, but you see, look, we all saw the figures, right? We all saw the numbers, and in any case, we're actually feeling the effect of these numbers. By the way, if inflation has gone down the way it is, and it's almost 5%, I would have sided with Haruna if he was talking about if he was talking about the corresponding impact on food inflation. If that was higher, then I would have said, okay, well, look, Haruna has a point, because then he's saying that no, farmers are not laughing. He's a farmer, is certainly not laughing. I don't think all farmers are not laughing, right? I'm just a farmer also smiling and all of that. I think food inflation has also somehow come down. In the old times, in the not too distant future, past, we typically would have food inflation probably higher than, almost higher than the real inflation, which tells you clearly that there are challenges when you are using this number. And indeed, the Professor Suman will tell you that, clearly speaking, food inflation is probably more even important than even, I think the PPI, right? The producer price inflation is actually more important than just the raw inflation figures. But you see, clearly, all these figures are actually tagging along. I can understand that, look, there are pockets of the country where, indeed, this homogeneity of economic, should I call it, data, is not necessarily experienced as well. But I think it is expected because, look, we, clearly speaking, it's not every part of the country that you can say that, things are obviously right. Even if inflation, there are different inflation figures of different regions and different, like district, if you want to drill it down to district. So let's put that aside and come to talk about the real issues here. Look, I think this government, with Tofosin and even the president, started on a good note. If I recall when the question was asked, what exactly has the NDC done to be talking about this improvements or this growth? And there's a simple answer to give. Well, the difference is economic discipline. If you wanted a contract, right, you are probably given the opportunity to, apart from mobilizing some money, actually given the opportunity to actually extract some rent from the state. If I tell you that almost 100 million Ghana cedis was paid to contractors as somehow mobilization money for the Agenda 111, without having completed even a single one. Now, Ato comes in and says, I'm not going to do that, because once we do that, we are actually externalizing what I call, we are bleeding, right? So he says, look, I'll be sure to pay, but show me proof, show me capacity, show me the proof that you can actually deliver. And I think that has actually been permeated across almost every facet of government. I told you the last time that I went to get funds to lobby some projects for my former secondary school. And they told me clearly that, look, you have to get good contractors who would deliver. And I thought, and said that nobody was going to pay any mobilization fee. So I think that one is also part of the belt tightening. I can understand that, look, revenue may not have performed well, but you see, the mark of a good economics is when you're also able to manage your expenses. And to the extent that Ato says, I'm not going to pay until I see proper value for money audit, value for money assessment having been done on a particular project, I think we should commend the government. And I think, Aruna, I recall our own brother, Kojo Ponkruma, did speak creditably to this in Parliament. I think he congratulated the government for, and he actually said that if they had had the opportunity to do same, maybe some of the untoward things that we had, some of the negatives we heard about the way procurement was done, we probably wouldn't have arisen. So let's give credit where that is, where it is due. I think it is important to also talk about accountability. You see, the president came and said, look, I am going to work with 60 ministers. For a very long time, he was doing even 58. I didn't even 58. Some people said, hey, I think Aruna, I must have heard you as well say that he's not achieved the goal because he said 60. So he's probably not achieved the goal. But he was doing 50.
At the time I said it, he had not gotten to the 60. And I said the president is indecisive.
Yeah, but now he's not even, now we are still less than 60.
But even with that, how much are we paying Office of Government Machinery?
Okay.
How much?
Okay.
2.7 billion.
But that 2.7 billion, I think this guy, Felix Kwachi, explained the composition of it.
But the composition put up to 2.7 billion. And the same composition of the numbers he's putting through gives you 326 million during the Akufo-Addo's era.
All right, so
okay.
Frank, go ahead, yes.
Okay. Yeah, please hold it. I think we can quibble over all these figures and what have you. But I think it is important to state that, look, when someone promises and opposes the promise, especially in these times when politicians have become an endangered species when it comes to belief, in terms of believing them, I think something ought to be said for someone who has been president before and has come back in his 2.0 and says, I am going to do 60. And he did. You know, look, and substantially we've saved money. That 2.7, whatever my friend is talking about, you'll be amazed if you do the calculation for the tenure of the president, the emolument that the 60-something additional ministers would have forgone, plus the salary, it's the same calculable. I mean, you are looking at almost 3 billion Ghana cedis, right? I think it's important that we acknowledge this thing. Again, about accountability. And the president comes and tells you that, look, if any minister is found wanting, if any minister engages in whatever, any infraction, there'll be some level of punishment according to the books. Well, nothing substantial really has happened yet, except, of course, I think some ministers have not filed their, Manasseh may remember, might not have filed their assets, what's it called? The assets.
Asset declaration.
Asset declaration.
Exactly. The president administratively sanctioned them for losing about 3 or 4 months of their salary. It is a good sign. All the Ghanaian wanted or want, after experiencing the things we experienced the last 6 years, is just some modicum of respect, some modicum of, humility, some modicum of saying, okay, no, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. And consistently, the president has been signaling that.
Frankly,
look at
yes,
what
you talked about Atto attributing the difference to discipline. How much of this can we also attribute to the IMF? I mean, the fact that the IMF is almost holding a cane behind and ensuring that you do the right.
Well, that's a beautiful question, and I'll answer it in two parts. Yes, you see, the IMF is going to an IMF program is not necessarily something to be sharing about. I mean, it's not something you should be gloating about, really. But once you are in, and you're actually respecting the benchmarks that have been set, then you're actually doing your work. I can understand that the NPP took us to the IMF, of course, after a lot of feet dragging.
Resistance.
But of course, they went they went in, and then somehow at the end of the day, you realize that, well, look, at least we got into the IMF. There were all sort of challenges. They went on to this debt exchange thing. Yes, that should also be credited to them in a way. At least they had actually no other way, by the way, than to do the DDP, which they did, and we all had issues. Some of us obviously suffered. Most of us, I'm sure some of you suffered more than some of us. But again, we plowed through, we powered through. Now that the IMF has come and under a new administration, the IMF is also saying, "Wow, I can see all your indicators, the things that the government said they were going to do, you're actually doing them, except, of course, a few structural issues like this issue about the asset declaration, lifestyle audit, which the IMF mentions, by the way, which ought to be done. Save those things, the IMF is happy. They're seeing that all the macro numbers are working well. In fact, they credit the gold bond thing. It's another topic on its own. We'll talk about it. But I think they credit some of these interventions and say, okay, look, they watch it, but they'll be challenging. So the IMF program has actually helped. But you see, but as I'm saying, the mark of a good leader is to obviously respect rules that actually work. And to the extent that they've done that, to the extent that the finance ministry is in itself agreed. Don't forget there have been certain amendments to the PFM rules. You know that, right?
Yes. Yes, frankly.
A fiscal, how do you call it? A fiscal council, I think 1.5% of GDP, and then what's the other one? Something about 45%.
Debt to GDP.
That GDP should be at least by 2038. We're looking at, you know, the interesting bit about this, by the way. Professor Simon may bear me out. You know, we put in the DDP that by 2038 or something like that, we are going to do 45% of GDP. I have to get the figure right. You know that it's been achieved largely because we are actually 47% GDP now. From 62% GDP in 1 year, when the current government came to meet it, it is reduced to almost 45, 46%. Now, that's never happened. It's never really happened that you can reduce almost 20% of your debt, more or less, in a season. Haruna, this is good news. You should be celebrating at least one of these things, so that at least the difficulty, the toll on us is actually, as a country, is reduced. So I think there are instances that we need to talk about. Seriously, look, I have a problem with that big push. What's it called? The road from. Is it the express highway?
Express highway. Yes.
Yeah. I seriously think from a project administration point of view, from an institutional point of view, it's looking like that will be difficult to do really in 3 years. I'm not too sure they'll be able to finish, unless of course they put like a gazillion number of contractors on the road. But you see, look, between Ofanko and someone where you know where I live. Look at how long it took to even negotiate with people who how do you call it, who own property,
buildings around
right?
the place, yeah.
And all sort of things. Those are the institutional sort of projects that might be. But look, it's ambitious, and I think we should do that. I think they will be better succeed probably 80%, 70% of it if they actually include the private sector. Because if you don't do that, hey, you'll be having a lot of challenges. But anyway, I think there are some things to be said. So there's social equity issues out there. Yes, it is not everybody who is probably covered. Even though there have been some significant interventions, as in this free school, free fees for university students and
stress.
Yeah, no free stress.
Yeah.
I mean, these are things we should be proud about. Even though I think there will be challenges along the way, and there's also the issues around economic sovereignty. In fact, economic sovereignty is an interesting point. I think that this government, through the Go Board, is trying to say that look, we want absolute economic sovereignty. We want to do A, B, C, D. Well, fine. There are challenges to that, but I think so far they are on the roads, and I think they are listening. You see, the thing about governance is also about listening. It's about listening. I'm sorry, but my good friend Nanado, people don't know. People who think I'm just overly criticizing, they don't know what we've done together. I mean, forget our colleague, but we had taken and discussed free SHS. We were the first people to be asked to do an analysis of free SHS, and we did that for him. This was 2015 thereabout, projected into 2020. So when you insulting me, I don't mind. But anyway, I'm just saying, you see, when Nanado had the opportunity, at least you should have listened to some of the things people were saying. We come and tell you that, like this minister, then he goes to say, oh, damn sweet. Today, if I put up a little post, I have a mailing list, WhatsApp group. Everybody who matters on that's WhatsApp group. As soon as the thing drops, governor is responding, finance minister is responding, health minister is responding, communication minister. Charlie, it's not because of me. I see they respond to other people as well. That is true accountability in real time. I think these are lessons we all need to learn. So thank you.
Yeah, sure. So let me go to, yes, Manasseh is on. I'll take Manasseh's view after Tanku. Rashid Tanku, good to have you. Good morning and welcome to the program. I know you've been listening to the other panelists. 1 year in office, of course. Yeah, what will you say has been the most difficult parts of the year economically for your government?
Well, my brother, let me say good morning to you, your cherished viewers, and my co-panelists. Let me say, we first have to say a big thanks to the good people of Ghana for voting for the NDC to arrest the soul of the country and to also bring us back the lost independence that we lost to the MPP for their 8-year rule in this country. In fact, you saw how my brother was struggling to fish in Sahara Desert.
Which of your
It's
brothers?
not easy. Haruna is my brother, MPP Deputy General Secretary.
He's 50 years.
You don't send net
2 days ago.
You don't send nets to Sahara Desert to fish. You can't fish over there. And that's why they are doing. Look, we're in this country when inflation rose to 54%.
That was in crisis.
And they blame it on COVID and Ukraine war. Was that not what they did? Today, is the bombs not still falling on Ukraine?
But the world has adjusted to the problem. The world has adjusted to the problem.
Even Ceylon,
there's no lockdown. There are no other things, you know. So the situation is different.
It cannot be different. They benefited from the lockdown, the COVID. Whether or not they are same people who told us that the money that they got from COVID, they shared it among themselves to do campaign. Have you forgotten of what happened in order their vice regional chairwoman who came out and announced to the whole world that they were giving money, COVID monies were shared to them for campaign. It's a public knowledge. They benefited from it. These people were not kind enough to respect our oldies. Salom, for the first time in the history of Ghana, we saw old men, old ladies picketing at Ministry of Finance. In fact, demonstrating for their own money. It has never happened. I've never seen it in my entire life. Seeing old men, old ladies, those who have worked for this country, just because of some careless economic things that this MPP government put in place and gave them haircuts. Some of them died. You remember the business tycoon who came and was virtually crying, in fact, crying, press conference about his funds. He couldn't access his money. The man finally died. Run down, when we came to office, the president promised, You know, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, he has the benefit of hindsight. He's been a president before. So having sat back for 8 years, he saw how reckless the MPP governing this country. So he was not ready to go down that path again. And that's why he promised 60 ministers. It indicated that within 14 days, he was going to form his cabinet. And it came to pass. And this reset agenda we have been talking about, Salom, is about resetting his appointees first. And that was what he achieved. The appointment he made sure that he reset the minds of all the appointees to see that the office that we are sending you to, the resources there belongs to the good people of Ghana and not you and your family. Unlike MPP, where resources were belonging to appointees and their families. Some of them even opened bank accounts in their rooms. We saw it.
I don't know about that. I don't know who opened a bank account in their room. But
this one is a public knowledge. Why was one minister resigned and the president wrote a love letter to her? You remember the issue of
yes, but
the son.
Yes,
and I'm saying that
the point really is that
appointees.
You know, you have the point really is that you have done quite better now because of the IMF forcing you to stay disciplined, etc. They are saying that they took us to the IMF, and so you don't have to take credit alone for what has been happening. You know, the stability, the inflation, and all of that we've seen doing well is because of policies they put in place. Their Good for Reserve program and all of that have been part of the success story that your government wants to tell, and they are the originators of some of these things.
Salom, so were they punishing Ghanaians? What they were government, were they punishing Ghanaians? They knew all these things, and yet Ghanaians were suffering. So if I describe them as wicked people, am I right? What were they doing? If you knew that these were policies that we could use to bring out the burden on Ghanaians, and they knew all these things, yet they allow Ghanaians to suffer for damn 8 years. In fact, under their regime, you saw that corruption and COVID-19 were equivalent. They were equal to each other.
I see.
It was terrible. And Ghanaians saw this. So, Salom, our problem is that Ghana, we have gotten a better leadership as of now. Leadership is about everything.
But
it's not about.
Is there anything you wish could have been done better in the 1 year? Salom, for now, the applause is not coming from NDC members or NDC leadership. The applause is coming from Ghanaians themselves. The good people of Ghana are saying that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has done well. For the 1 year he has been in office, they've never seen this type of governance structure. And what we are doing is that we've also made Ghanaians to believe that you can rule this country under 60 ministers. Are you surprised the Constitutional Review Committee that came out with their report, they are now suggesting 57? Because they've seen that the man said it, and he's living with it. He has made governance to look like our own culture and tradition. 50. So Bamia too could have done 50.
What 50 were you talking about? The man who was part and parcel of 126
no, but he
ministers.
promised 50. That wasn't his government.
How was he going to promise something today?
He promised 50.
Today.
So if he had won, maybe we would have seen that happen.
Salom, do you know that his special assistants are more than 70 today?
But that's different. That's not government.
This one as a former vice president.
That's
I'm saying as a former vice president who is now contesting to be a flag bearer, has over 70 special assistants following him. And the person will come and tell you that I'm promising to take it.
I can't verify that, but
I'm saying that
that's for campaigning.
Salom, if you promise me a hat and I see that you've never put on a hat, I won't take you serious. Let's take it.
No,
that is the truth of the matter.
Rashid, I mean, campaigning is different from governance, right? You may want to have coordinators and all of that in various districts or regions. They will add to the number.
I'm talking about the people following him. You should have mentioned them.
Anybody can follow you once, and you can't sack them because you want their vote. But when you win power, it's a different matter.
But let's face it. The truth of the matter is we have been able to to stabilize the economy for the benefit of the good people of Ghana. Inflation has, yes, my good brother has already mentioned it, Imani president. And we have also look at the Christmas Day celebration. You saw what happened at the Makwala market.
What happened?
Fire service had to send their water tanks to water people because of the crowd, unprecedented crowd. Because prices of foodstuffs went down, prices of goods went down. It has been reduced drastically. And so because of that, people flooded the market to shop. And there was crowd there. Sell and shop. That is what happened. And I'm saying that for 8 years, I've never seen this kind of thing. These are practical. This is what I always say. I don't need to be an economist to know that
very well
my pocket is dry or I'm hungry.
Very well.
An empty stomach knows that the economy is bad. But now you can see that belly full. People's stomachs are now getting fuller because foodstuffs are coming down.
Very well.
Go to the point.
I'm sure Haruna will disagree with that because Haruna says that he's a farmer and the produce are not being sold. When they sell them, they can't go back and do the same thing because they would have lost. So there's a downside to all of that. But let me go to Haruna. Let me go to Manasseh now. I'll come back to you. Manasseh, well, you have been looking in from outside, and what's your quick thoughts on the economy and the 1 year of this administration? Manasseh Azuri Awuni is an investigative journalist. He's done quite a number of groundbreaking works, and kudos to him. Why am I calling him Haruna? Manasseh, you have the floor.
Really, I need to come in.
Well, I believe that any objective observer will realize that there's some sanity that has been injected into the system. There is some effort on the part of the administration to want to do what is right. And if you look at the economy, I think we know what we've been through, and things are getting better, but I don't sincerely believe we are at a point that we should be celebrating. I have lived in the US here for some time now. I think I first came here in August 2023, and I have been driving and buying fuel, and it doesn't seem like it is going up. Sometimes it comes down. You can see some level of stability, even though they complain so much here. But you also go to places and they are always advertising for jobs. I went to Walmart and then I saw a sign that said we are hiring and we will even pay your college tuition fees if you work with us. Terms and conditions apply. We are living in a country that many people still are struggling to get jobs. I am not an economist, but I know the little I know shows that some of the economic indicators, such as the GDP and others, can be misleading. And I have written 2 books about Ghana's politics in recent times, The Fourth John and The President Ghana Never Got, and I had chapters on the economy. And in the Fourth John, on page 171 and 172, I quote an economist called Dudley Sears, who is a British economist who worked for a number of UN agencies. And he says the following about development in general. And I just want to quote what he said. He said, the questions to ask about a country's development are therefore, what has been happening to poverty? What has been happening to unemployment? What has been happening to inequality? If all 3 of these have declined from higher levels, then beyond doubt, this has been a period of development. If 1 or 2 of these central problems have been growing worse, especially If all three have, then it will be strange to call the result development even if GDP doubled. So the question we should be asking is we have no data or evidence to say that they are going up, but we also know that when the most recent one of the indicators mentioned by Dudley, when the military wanted to recruit, we saw how many young people went to Elwak, people dying, being trampled upon just because they want to get jobs. Unemployment in this country is still very high, and many of those who went there just want to make a living, not necessarily wanting to serve in the military. If we look at inequality, is it going down? So these are questions we should be asking. When it comes to the GDP and some of these economic indicators, sometimes you look at them and they are not a very fair assessment of growth or even the prosperity of the state. Let's assume maybe if you're even talking about GDP per capita, maybe if a rich person joins those of you in the studio now, and then you are having to put your resources together and say, okay, this is how much we have, it will go very high. But if that person is taking off, I don't know your net worth. I'm not saying those of you in the studio are poor, but just to say that a super wealthy person can just get in and have so much. So that is where the inequality comes in. We still have many people in the streets who are not getting jobs, and there's still so much suffering that I don't think we've gotten to that point that we should be able to beat our chest and say that our economy is strong. Your economy cannot be strong when there are no jobs. Your economy can, in real terms, not be so strong when people are, only a few people have so much and the rest have very little. But I think any honest assessment would admit that it appears there is some level of sanity. It appears there's some level of stability. When you look at the cedi, I think it's one of the longest periods in recent times when the cedi stability throughout the year has hovered around 12 cedis to $1. And so as to the reason we are experiencing this and who takes the credit, that is another debate. But looking from outside, and I still do transactions in Ghana. I have families, friends in Ghana and all of those. And so I know what is happening, and I'm very convinced that there is some level of hope, but we haven't gotten to that point that we should begin to celebrate. Because sometimes when you even ask the critical questions, you may not find very strong legs on which the current stability is standing. So if tomorrow gold prices slump and all of that, where else are we going to get that stability from? So this is my thoughts on what is happening with the economy.
Great. I'll come back to you. A few of your messages that have come through on our text lines, our WhatsApp line 0539986996 and 02044470033. This one says, "Good morning, Salam. It's absolutely obvious that President Mahama's first year has been remarkable and exceedingly beyond my wildest imagination. All the economic indicators so far point to the right direction. About Papa, this is Jones Adoboy in La." This one from a very long one, actually. So good morning to our Deputy General Secretary and Mr. Computer. This is Abdul Ganiu Bankaribu. Attorney General is questioning whether Oral can account for the promised 21 billion. However, it should be noted that the 21 billion represents only about 400 cases out of the over 2,000 cases reportedly investigated by already investigated. Domelevo said. He said they collated them. Frankly, what exactly is wrong with the Attorney General? Many Ghanaians are becoming increasingly frustrated with his constant media appearances. Is he trying to play games with the public? At this rate, he risks leaving office as one of the worst AGs this country has ever produced. This one from Kwame Nkaswa says, I think the president is on a good course, and let's wait and see what happens when the IMF leaves town. Solomon Kofrodia says, the NDC government must give some credit to the MPP for the foundations laid with regards to good for oil, IMF bailout, etc. Ezekiel Dansuma says, Rashid Tanku must speak to the issues being discussed rather than going back to the failures of the MPP. That's why Ghanaians give them the mandate to lead us. Your messages can still be coming and we'll be reading them. Let me, Prof, so we've heard a few things. You may want to put all of that in context for me, but also what happens when the IMF leaves town? They'll leave town later this year. I understand they wanted some 3-month extension to do a few things. I don't know whether that will be granted or not. But are you confident that we're able to sustain the discipline we have, shown so far when the IMF leaves town, and where does that leave us?
Well, so we have to say it is not the IMF that has requested the extension.
We have requested?
It is the government of Ghana.
Oh, I see.
That has requested. And it appears that it will be granted.
Okay.
So
why did they request that, if you know?
I think primarily because some of the structural reforms that we have to undertake, coming to your question, to ensure that the gains that we've made are sustained. You see from the fifth review, a few things have been pushed back. There are a few of them that we couldn't meet them. So we need a little bit more time. So in the view of the government, and I'm sure the IMF will agree, some of the things that have been moved for a little bit further, you need the documentation, you need time, it requires making changes, going to Parliament, making some changes to the law. So I think that is the reason why it has become necessary that the government requested it. And my expectation is that it will be granted.
Okay.
Now, to your broader question about whether the gains will be sustained when we leave the IMF. So I like to go back to why do we keep going to the IMF? Then you have to identify generally two structural issues that always take us to the IMF. The first one, the immediate one always has to be, we mismanage our finances. And the reason why we mismanage our finances is because there's so much looseness in our public financial management. People could commit the government. People could give contracts. People could spend money out of the budget. You recall when the IMF program was approved, one of the things they pointed out is extra budgetary spending. So that is there. Then the issue that we've always struggled to generate revenue. Even when the economy is growing, you know that a sector like agric, it contributes about a quarter of the GDP, but it contributes less than 1% to our revenue. So even when the economy is growing, we struggle to translate that into generating tax revenue. So that is the structural fiscal issue. But that one is built on the structure of the underlying structure of the economy itself. So we have economy that everybody calls the gadgets-based economy, where essentially we don't add a lot of value, and we have been boxed, or we have boxed ourselves into producing primary things and just exporting them raw. What that does is that you are always susceptible to any shock that happens to any part of the world. Now, so when you always see that most of our trips to the IMF have come when there's been some kind of global shock. It's going to trigger it. That's because that underlying structure
fundamentals are weak.
Have not been dealt with. Now, if you look at what we are doing under the current IMF program, I think one thing we have to understand is that by design, IMF programs are not going to come to restructure your economy for you. Generally, what they will do is that you can't keep your finances in order. The first thing is that they will give you foreign exchange support, balance of payment support. Then you find ways to, and then they will impose some fiscal discipline on you. And then you'll be able to bring your finances in order. The reforms that we are doing, the one that is going to cause the extension, are things like, we've mentioned the reviewing the Public Financial Management Act. So one of the things that we're going to do is to set up a fiscal council that has a little bit more bite than the previous one, which was purely advisory. And then put specific targets, 1.5% primary budget surplus. And then I think by 2034, we have to have a 45% debt to GDP ratio. So some of the reforms that are ongoing are to address those weaknesses in our public sector finances. So I think to a large extent, the government is showing commitment to that. The only thing I will say is that, because of our history, even when we manage to pass those reforms, we have a history where we pass laws, we pass legislation, and they can be violated with no consequence. Even though the current changes to the Public Financial Management Act include some punishment, so they are now punitive measures. But I'm always skeptical. I think when we come to say 2027 and 2028, and the elections look like it's going to be tight, and the pressures come, if we are able to navigate that, then I'll know that now we are committed to implementing the laws that we pass. But on the structural side, we haven't addressed it. So you notice that, yes, the city has appreciated, but that's because there's part strategy and part lack. The part strategy is that for some time now, we decided to accumulate more gold reserves. It started with the previous administration. This one has continued, including what the gold board is doing. That means that we've accumulated a lot of gold reserves, and we're at a period where gold prices are at an all-time high. So that has strengthened our reserve position, and the central bank has decided to use some of those to strengthen the city. That strategy has its own challenges. But we know that if the current situation, the current positive side that we are enjoying from the external market, if they were to go south, then this strategy will come under question. So I think this is where tackling the fundamental structure of the economy becomes important. Admittedly, you can't expect that a new administration will be able to do that in 1 year, because it requires a lot of, it takes time. So what they've done, I think for this administration, their strategy is the 24-hour economy. And we've seen that the first year, what has really happened is setting up structures, putting together the document, because you notice that the 24-hour economy that was preached during the election campaign is slightly different from the document that has been. Now the document has been redone to respond to the key structural challenges of the economy. So on paper, you said that if it was properly implemented, it will go some way to address the challenges. I am always, because of what we have seen before, we've seen in time past where documents look good on paper. And then, the implementation takes its own course. And eventually we don't get there. So the other thing that the president, you have to worry about is, consistency in the policy and the direction we are giving. So we are trying to restructure the economy using a 24-hour economy document. The president, some of the objectives include that, increasing productivity in the economy, diversifying the export base. But you have to question whether that is consistent with an apparent deliberate policy to, cause the currency to appreciate. I know many Ghanaians are celebrating, and then when you raise issues, people will call you naysayers. But we have to understand that the strategy to cause the city to appreciate, while because the economy is import dependent and Ghanaians will be experiencing the relief, you should understand that comes at a price. What is this appreciation doing to export business? What is it doing to the incentive for importation? So today you think that because the currency has appreciated, it is cheaper for you to buy the things that you are importing. But you are giving market to, you are shipping our jobs abroad. Because it means that any Ghanaian exporter is now at a disadvantage. And it's easier for people to import. You know, I think these days you go around town and you see mega malls being set up from a particular country, selling low-cost products, and then, you know, everybody's on it.
Yeah.
We, you know, the strategy to cause the currency appreciation is part of it. But we have to understand that, and Ghanaians, we have to understand, every time we are flocking to these places, first, those malls, they are displacing smaller mom and pop shops who probably have so many dependents.
Yes.
And then who are paying people's school fees. You go and set up these giant malls in that stretch, in that suburb. How many smaller shops would that displace?
No smaller shops will flourish
and
in those areas.
Those ones are one of the easiest ways of increasing our import bill. So I think that we have to go back and try and balance the short term.
Or get those shops to have good shelf spaces for Ghanaian made products.
Well, you know, it's the GIPC that will approve them. Well, we could have specific strategy. If you want to grow Ghana, we have to have a strategy that says that we are deliberately creating markets. If not a market in foreign countries, definitely in our own country. We should definitely have requirements that a certain proportion of whatever they are putting out has to be locally sourced. That's the least we could do. So I think that, yes, in the first year, the administration has done the easiest things you could do, the lower hanging fruits, to ensure that there's relief. And I think after the 3 years that we saw leading up to the end of 2024, you could say Ghanaians deserve some relief, some immediate relief. Because if you know, after going through that kind of hardship, a new administration comes, and there's no relief, and you still want people to endure more hardship because you want to restructure, you know, sometimes that can backfire. So you can understand why there's a strategy to ensure that there's some immediate relief. But we should never think that, you know, that immediate relief shouldn't come at the expense of our long-term future. So I think it's important that, you know, we rethink, you know, so yes, a lot of Ghanaians are praising the government for the appreciation. We have to understand that it comes at a cost. And we have to ensure that whatever we are doing, we don't have a 24-hour economy and do things that will affect the incentives. Because if you want Ghanaian businesses to invest and produce, you know, you must watch the imports. So I think so I expect that going forward in 2026, the administration should rebalance. It's obvious that from what the president has said, some caucus meeting happened. And it was agreed that the currency should be kept in a particular range. The government is also one of the bigger beneficiaries of that appreciation because
it reduces the debt.
It reduces the debt to GDP ratio, especially because of the external component. But also it makes servicing the debt cheaper. Don't forget that in the first year alone, almost more than $1 billion has been paid in debt service payment. And obviously when the CD is stronger, it helps. So there are pros and cons. And I think Ghanaians, we have to understand what do we want to do? Do you want to support local businesses? So the one that will help us in the long term. Because if we do that and the economy becomes diversified, it is easier to keep the city stable from that point on a sustainable basis than just if what we are doing is pumping dollars because our reserves position has become stronger.
Great, very well. Haruna, I want us to move to governance, anti-corruption, and all of that. What has been your verdict on governance issues? How the government is dealing with anti-corruption, the lean government code of conduct is being published, etc. And the president has told us that he will ensure that the bill on the conduct of public officers is passed in its time. All these are governance issues. How will you rate the government in this first year in terms of the general governance issues, law and order, etc.?
If I am to rate them based on the governance, I'll give him 1 out of 10.
1 out of 10?
Yes.
Why so? That's 10%.
One, you mentioned about lean government. We all know that if you study production management, you look at the number of people you use in doing the work and the cost associated with that. They promised us a lean government. They brought the lean numbers. Okay? They brought the lean numbers. And that lean number in terms of compensation will spend 2,711,180,829 Ghana cedis.
Where are you getting that from?
I'm reading from Appendix 4A.
Which is what?
The 2025 budget.
Emolument
Office of Government Machinery. MMDA's expenditure. That is where I am reading from. For the lean number. So approximately 2.7 billion. Whilst there has been an accusation and pointing of fingers to the previous government of having a huge number, that previous government was spending 907,847 Ghana cedis.
The issue there is people like, again, government communications has explained that some ministries...
I can give you the breakdown. I can give you all the breakdown.
I'm not disputing. Some ministries have been quote-unquote collapsed, but nobody's been dismissed. All of these people, so for example, Information Ministry, the emoluments of all the people there now is being transferred to where Felix Ofosu-Kwakye is, which is under government machinery. Quite a lot of them. All of that will add to this. So if you look at the headline figure, it looks huge. But when you drill down, you can explain or understand why.
There is no any explanation, Salom.
No, but this is what I'm telling you. And this is from what Felix told us.
Felix, I did accounting as well. I'm a trained accountant.
That's fine. But if the
I'm
numbers,
a trained project manager.
Yeah, so
aside my
so
politics.
for example, ISD and all those agencies.
Everything I can go through. You know, throughout I've been sitting, I want to tease it out. They have not been fair to the people of Ghana.
As in how? As in adding their
yes, as in having
office machinery.
Not even adding emoluments.
They don't have to be dismissed.
What Akufo-Addo paid
for
the same structure.
For those people.
Yes, when we are
Information Ministry is no more.
So the budget should have, because the minister's salary was part of it. The minister's allowances was part of it. The minister's fuel was part of those particular budgets. The minister is not there. The staff is still there. You've shifted them. You have not dismissed anybody. But compensation has gone up. But Ghanaians' concern, the civil society's concern,
but compensation always goes up, right?
The point is that if you look at the quantum from 326 million
no, but this
2.7 billion.
This 320 whatever million.
You check the budget. I have the budget is there.
I'm saying that this, for example, does not include ISD, matters.
Which one? The ISD was under us.
Under who? Under the Information Ministry.
Yes, but it was under us, which was included in the 326.
No, you said it's Office of Government Machinery.
Yeah, Office of Government Machinery.
Information Ministry was not under Office of Government Machinery.
We are not talking about all the ministries have their budgets. We are talking about Office of Government Machinery,
but,
which includes the number of ministers. All the ministers are on it.
The Information Ministry now we understand. And
it's not the ministry. So let's talk about the ministers. We are talking about the ministers, not the ministries.
But this is what Office of Government Machinery doesn't only mean ministers.
Yes, that's the agencies are there. We have Council of State is there, headquarters and agencies are there, the National Security is there, Research Department under the National Security is there, Government Communications. When we accused them and pointed it out to them in 2025, they moved the National Security to a different appendix. And that one alone was 2.4 billion. The National Security alone and the Research Department. They moved that one alone and sent it to another appendix and the Ministry of Interior. And allocated the amount to it, which was 2.4 billion. So if you add the 2.4 billion to the 540 million that they have budgeted for their lean government, if you add it, it will give you 2.9 billion. Which is above the 2.7 billion they did in the 2025 budget. So if Ghanaians were crying that we had huge number of ministers, we are spending so much money on this number of ministers, let's reduce them.
So for you, on the governance sector,
they have failed. Even they need to score negative on that aspect.
But is that 10%?
No, I'm giving overall.
Okay.
That's the overall. But on that governance, that one alone, this one, it's negative.
I see.
Because you cannot point to us that we are spending so much and Ghanaians are taxpayers are being used on this plenty ministers and what have you. You come in and then put 326 million into 2.7 billion. That is very poor and very bad. On corruption, Selon, you're asking about corruption. The government is not committed to fight any corruption. We had high-profile cases before they came. I never knew that the Nolly Protocol became a very sensitive matter, a very household name that has been used. So I need to ask what was Nolly Protocol. When I was properly, I said, so it means that all the while, these people wanted to come and dismiss all these particular cases. If they were interested in fighting corruption, they would have followed through to get these cases being done. Today, instead of trial in the court, we haven't trial in the media. There is persecution instead of prosecution. We all know people have been prosecuted and charged in the media, everything just by the Attorney General. Look at how people's rights have been trampled on. You are in their house, they run in, they do all manner of things in the name of national security, but even without a search warrant.
But searches were done in your time.
Without a search warrant. Look at what was happening.
But you went to somebody's house without a search warrant?
Yes, they went to Intim for your house because I was there personally. There was no search warrant. We resisted it and drove them away. We resisted it. So they've been going to places without search warrant.
The one in Intim said that some people had come to Ghana through the airport.
The flights had come. It is true.
So where is that matter now?
Let's ask the national security where they have put it in. Look at what has been done to Hanan and Co. Look at what has been done to several other people who have been arrested. Nothing, absolutely nothing.
Nothing like what?
What is happening?
No, Hanan has been in court.
What is happening in the court? The man has prosecuted him in the media. He's not interested to go and fight.
No, they've been going to court.
Look at what you go to court, name, bring certain document, you will not bring it. The government is not interested in corruption fights. What they are interested in is that to change the mood, just as they have said. That they have been able to change the mood. Prof, sorry, your mood was different from this mood that I'm talking about. They have been able to change the mood. And then you asked about the fight against Galamsey.
Yes.
What did they tell us? They said there was that instance of us, we should have what we call state of what?
Emergency.
Emergency. And we all know what state of emergency is. Critical aspect of human life is water. Water is life. At the stage they were calling for the state of emergency, 10 districts in the central region were having access to water. 10 districts, they were having access to, no district was denying water.
But now how many districts?
10. Unfortunately, the vice president comes from that region. Unfortunately. 10 districts cannot get water because of the high nature of Galamsey. So go and check how many excavators came in within the 1 year, as compared to the 8 years of MPP's government. Go and check what happened. National security issues. Look at Boko, how many people...
Let me let computer respond to you.
I think I would have taken a bite equally.
Okay. All right. So, then let's take your bite quickly so that...
Salom,
and be brief because we are there.
When you are flipping scripts between the NPP and NDC, what surfaces the Ghana, corporate Ghana, the very things he will talk about today and will be able to point to, they were pointed to in the past. There was defense, spirited defense, Salom. In fact, the point I fell off with the former government was the 127 ministers. It doesn't matter how much of the numbers we put out here. It was completely reckless. Completely. I would not have any better words to describe it, but for a government that came in 2017, Ghanaians had high hopes, right? That things were going to be done remarkably improved, right? Decided to shoot all of us, in the face and said, look, 127, and the excuse was that they were in a hurry. If you check the blueprint that was left at the time of exiting, they were in a hurry to probably get the indicators worsened. And so, for me, whilst attempting to rationalize or justify why 127 for them spent less money, and probably the 60 ministers today are spending more money, I would not sit here and pretend that Ghanaians were okay with that decision at the time. If we would need to discuss the current government's expenditure patterns, right, on appointees, and for that matter, ministers of state, I think we can have that dispassionate discussion. But any attempt by my brother Haruna to suggest that 127 was less expensive, and so rationally it is okay, I think that I would disagree completely. He is just, flipping the script and now whitewashing the previously bad situation that we had on our hands. Salom. If it wasn't for anything at all, the emoluments and the gratuities that you pay to 127 would automatically be higher than you pay to 60.
And that's not what is the case.
Well, so that's why I said if we would need to interrogate the numbers as pertains today, let's interrogate it, today. But let's not attempt to whitewash what happened previously. It was completely reckless. And I'm not surprised members of the NPP are currently saying that some of the appointments that President Nana-Addo made were probably about the worst things he did. Look, single-handedly, one district, one dam, some of the president's special initiatives was just
one village, one dam.
One village, one dam. Salom, if you took your cameras around today to find traces of dams that we built, things that we had spent the taxpayers' money on, I dare say you would find one functional dam. But we had blown the taxpayers' money on some of these reckless cliches that pertain in the past. Today, Haruna is given 1 out of 10 for governance. I wonder what his scorecard would have been if he was to do the same scorecarding just about 2-3 years ago. I'm sure he would have made excuses for why Galamsey, the government at the time, was said to be fighting it, but things were getting out of hand. And so for us, we would rather want to look at the picture going forward. If you talk of 1 year of this new NDC government, Salom, what Ghanaians like me are asking for on the street is the before here, the now, and the hereafter. The before here is where the oral discussions come in, because there got to a point in our history where we were discussing scandals as though you were changing a baby's, whatever. It was just that rampant, and it continued. Unfortunately, those that would want to criticize today were on the defensive yesterday. So we are not interested. If really people really plundered this country, like Haruna has said,
they should be made to account
they
for
should be made to account for. And then again, we should be able to recover some of the loot. Because if you were just to recover, is it 21 billion that we have been told? You would not need an IMF again. And you are a bit fiscally disciplined. You would not need an IMF. What I have realized, this new government, one of the things that I pat them for is the fact that they have not even decided to go in for new vehicles yet. Maybe they are buying them. I haven't seen them yet. I haven't seen them yet. I haven't seen them. I have a couple of these appointees as friends. You meet them and they are driving very old cars. You ask them why, and they say they've not given them any new. The DCEs particularly are still driving the old cars. If the government can continue to be fiscally disciplined that way and show to the people that, look, I did not come to waste the little funds you have. They have announced significant projects like the new Accra-Kumasi superhighway. Whatever it will cost this country, build it. That is what we are telling them. If it costs us whatever of GDP, you build it, because it has a lot of economic benefits to all of us. So whilst discussing 1 year and whilst here today, the hereafter, we would want to see things with our own eyes so that the cliches, one district, one factory, right? Beautiful cliches. If you go back to do an audit of them, how much was spent on them, you would realize that the taxpayers' money was simply blown. We do not want that to be repeated for the current government. And so when Haruna is raising questions of, numbers, I side with you. But Haruna, we are coming from an immediate past that was completely reckless when it comes to the same numbers. The numbers that the current government inherited, for which Haruna is saying that whatever credit that the current government scores, whatever positives, the NPP should also be credited. Look, we've lived through this country. We were here before 2016. We've been here after 2024, 2025.
Very well.
The numbers you left were nothing to be credited for, to be very honest.
But his point is that they started policies. So
wait,
inflation,
but you see,
interest rates,
when you meet something,
all of that.
when you meet something, wait,
wait,
Salom, when you meet this paper white like this, and then by the time you hand it over to Salom, right, it is almost brown, and you say that you had initiated steps to clean the paper. You've been reckless. That is not what was handed over to you. In fact, the microeconomic indicators that you took over as of 2016 clearly were better than you did as of yes.
There was a
no.
We'll speak to you. You give me the time.
I
have it.
No,
he just pointed to me.
The kind of pressures that Ghanaians were really under as of the end of 2024.
But by that, I mean inflation.
Exactly.
Inflation.
Yes, and the CD. And the CD.
You give me the child. Don't worry, I will explain. I have them. I have the figures.
And the CD.
I will talk to them. You give me the time. I will talk to them.
No. You
and the CD.
I will talk to them later.
Thank you. Yes, just a quick one that will make progress because we need to discuss Ofori-Atta after you are done and we'll go for a break. Apologies to the rest. Rashid Tanku. Yes, governance. Haruna says it's caused you even negative because the anti-corruption fight has been abysmal. You discontinued cases that they had started to exact accountability from the people. Galamsey is terrible and a whole lot of things. So on the governance side, you have government budget for the government machinery alone, Office of Government Machinery alone is so huge. And so your talk about having fewer ministers is neither here nor there because what is important is the amount of money spent. And what you are doing now is way more than what they've been doing under their huge numbers. So what do you say?
What do you expect from an 86 MPs minority? What do you expect from them? So what would they score for their government, the MPP government?
No, but what is the fact? Is that a fact that Galamsey is worse? Is it a fact that this huge amount of money is spent or is being earmarked to be spent for the year against what they were doing before that we complained about?
Salom, it's completely false. It's not true. My brother has been economical with the truth. So and I'm happy Duncan compare. If you are going to compare government machineries, and we talk of 127 ministers, and you are comparing that one to 60 ministers, and you still have the audacity to come up with figures and think that 60 ministers, even 58, not 60, currently we are doing 58 ministers. The comparison is highly incongruous in the sense that when you look at the ministry, whole ministry, the ministry has been collapsed. It's only the staff which has been migrated and added to the government communications. And that is why you are seeing those figures. The people compensation and everything has been added. It has nothing to do with the operations of the ministry. And that's why I'm saying that it's highly incongruous. It should know that the differences. And clearly, the leanest government that you can think of since 1992 is the current administration. Very lean and very prudent in fiscal management. If you look at the way we manage the economy from 2025, January 2025 up till now, we've been very disciplined. You know that this government introduced what we call commitment authorization from finance ministry in such a way that you cannot go ahead from any agency or department to award contract without getting authorization from the Ministry of Finance. Even PPA, that is a Public Procurement Authority, cannot give you authorization without Finance Ministry giving the commitment authorization. This has stabilized a lot of procurement activities in all the ministry, agencies, and departments. And that is why you have not seen any single scandal whatsoever across the agencies. This is a plus. If my brother hasn't seen this, he should go back to his books. And you will understand why government machinery alone should be scored not less than 99.5%. Because it takes brains to do this.
Very well.
This is what they didn't do. And this is why we suffered a lot in this country.
Very well.
And I'm saying for the fact that today we have managed to bring down inflation to 5.4%, with the dollar to the CD being less than 11%, 11 CDs, it's now 10.5. That one alone has brought money to people's pocket. We have taken off these useless taxes they put on people, COVID tax. There were those nuisance taxes, e-levy, and all those kind of things. We've taken them off. Is that not plus to him? He's enjoying it. He's enjoying it. And
Very well. Let me take a few messages. Let me take a few messages and make progress. This one, Justice in Community 1, Tema says, this is to Mr. Haruna, that the main goal of a government is to improve the lives of its citizens and not to daydream of figures and percentages. Majority of Ghanaians have agreed that life now is far better. We can feel it. Well, good morning, please. I am Nito from Tema Community 5. I think the MPP did their best, but I see President Mahama is really doing great, and God bless all his ministers. More wisdom to help Ghana grow. Ghana will be great again. So far, so good. I give GM 8.5 over 10. This is Zalis doing in London. Gabi Bobzisco inside Pando says, good morning, Salam. I think that the leadership of President Mahama is on the right track, and I urge them to do more in terms of expanding 24-hour markets and increasing security systems across the country this year, 2026 and beyond. Kudos to the entire team. In God we trust, you say. Yes, this other one says, good morning and Happy New Year, Salam. Honestly, every Ghanaian in Ghana, even in opposition, is seeing a dynamic shift in this 1 year of governance. In Haruna's submission, it's obvious he was just trying to cover up things. Mahama's 1 year governance is incredibly amazing. Let's put our political colors aside and appreciate the good works of the government moving forward, even though we don't have to celebrate this time because it's just 1 year. Let's pray for the government for better times ahead. From Richard Umboji in Tule, or Umboji Tule. Eric Bayo in Techiman South says, good morning to you and your panelists. If the NDC people are claiming that the economy is in the right direction, then I may ask, if I may ask, what is the percentage of the unemployment rate in Ghana? Government want to buy 4 airplanes while nurses and teachers work for 10 months without pay. All right, that's Eric Bayer from Techiman South. Hamza from Pig Farm says, good morning, my brother. First anniversary of President Mahama, so far so good, excellent. It is a fact that the second coming of President Mahama to office is a blessing to the nation. We should learn to appreciate good things given by Allah Almighty, and this nation will be blessed. I'm particularly happy to see that petrol prices have reduced drastically. The city has gained strength against the dollar. Macro indicators are doing good, and all nuisance taxes have been abolished. This is good governance and nothing else. The NDC government blamed its inability to execute most of the manifesto promises to the IMF program the previous government subjected us to. Now that the IMF will be leaving, we want to see the government fully sailing off with the 24-hour economy and initiating the 133 shift system. Okay, all right. So I will take a short break. When I come back, we will deal with the matters of Ofori-Atta and the detention in the U.S. and other matters. This is a big issue. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Welcome to the Health Quarters Ghana, where medical science meets everyday life. Join Dr. Gideon Hassan and the irrepressible Clemento Suarez as they tackle health issues.
My name is Dr. Gideon Hassan.
I have with me here my co-host, Lamento Suarez.
I knew how it felt anytime I started to feel the pain.
Whether it is hernia, breast cancer, cataracts, or infertility, the show brings together victims to share their real-life stories and experts to debunk myths.
If you wear cotton supporter, and they be a pampers and a benwa or bosom. So you see, instead of it being raw egg, I done it because you know.
Make a date with us every Sunday at 4 p.m. on Channel 1 TV. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and all social media platforms at Health Quarters Ghana.
This is the big issue, live on 97.3 City FM on Channel 1 television. We are live on our socials as well. Your messages are welcome via our WhatsApp line 0539986996 or 0204447033. We'll be happy to share your views to the rest of the world. We've been having a discussion on President Mahama's 1 year with Haruna Mohammed of the NPP, Manasseh Azuri, Awuni, investigative journalist Rashid Tanko, computer of the NDC, Franklin Kujo, president of Money Africa, and of course earlier you heard Daniel Domelevo, and of course my good friend Duncan Amwa of CSO's COPEG is also here. Now we want to move to the other matter, which has to do with Ken Ofori-Atta's detention by U.S. authorities due to some immigration matters. We understand he is living in the U.S. illegally because he's violated his visa terms. His visa has been revoked or expired, whichever is appropriate. So now, former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has been detained by the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. The detention has been attributed to immigration status issues, with his lawyers assuring the public that efforts are underway to secure his release. In a public notice issued on Wednesday, January 7, 2006, Ghana-based law firm Minka Premo Sebonsu, Bruce Catlin and partners explained that the action by ICE was linked to questions surrounding Mr. Ofori-Atta's continued stay in the United States rather than any criminal wrongdoing. According to the statement, Mr. Ofori-Atta has a pending petition for adjustment of status, a legal process under U.S. immigration law that allows an individual to remain in the country beyond the validity of their original visa while the application is being considered. The law firm disclosed that Mr. Ofori-Atta's U.S. legal team is in active engagement with ICE and is confident that the matter will be resolved promptly, and the lawyers further stressed that the former finance minister is cooperating fully with the U.S. authorities and remains law-abiding. They urge the public to remain calm and that in due course, the matter, which is procedural in nature, will be settled expeditiously through legal channels. Let me start off with Manasseh. Manasseh, you are in the U.S., and I don't know how much you know about this, but of course, we know that he's been detained, not because of the matters happening in Ghana, but because of his violated his visa terms. His visa was revoked, according to the Deputy Attorney General, sometime in June 2025, and so he's been living there illegally. And we know Trump is trying to crack down on illegal immigrants and all of that. And it does appear that Ken Ofori-Atta finds himself in that bracket, and so he was picked up by ICE. What else do you know about the situation as we have, Manasseh?
Well, what I know is that on Tuesday morning, Ken Ofori-Atta was moving out of a certain building in Washington, D.C., and that's where he's been living. Sources say he lives there, and they've seen his son and wife there as well. So when he got out of the building at the entrance, the agents of ICE surrounded him and swiftly marched him into a vehicle and drove him away to a detention center we now know, which is about an hour and a half from the exact location he was arrested. and he was arrested at the West Light building, which is located at 11141 24th Street in Northwest Washington, D.C. And we are told this is a very expensive residential area in Washington, D.C., located about 20 minutes walk from the White House. And some of the people who have lived in this facility include the immediate past Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, was living in this building. She had a 2-bedroom apartment in this building and moved out when she was elected Vice President. We know the cost of that facility. I mean, the 2-bedroom apartment in that complex, she sold it for $1.85 million at the time she was leaving. So we're told it's a very expensive facility, secure, and prominent people live there. We don't know whether Ken Ofori-Atta has bought the facility or he's renting, but sources say this is where he's been living, going in and out until the morning of January 6th, when the authorities surrounded him and drove him to his current detention center.
I see. So what is the talk among the Ghanaian community in the U.S. about all this that have been happening in Ghana, and now that he's been detained? And you may also talk to us about the operations of ICE and what exactly they do.
Well, I think the Ghanaians I encounter here in the U.S. Are very livid about Ken Ofori-Atta and how he managed the economy. I met a student who said, and I quote, "I hate Ken Ofori-Atta with passion." And this student had a grievance because when he completed school, national service, he invested, and this haircut and others really affected him. So whenever you mention Ken Ofori-Atta's name, he doesn't want to hear. I have traveled quite a bit since I got here. I think I've been to at least 20 of the states, and I meet Ghanaians when I travel around, and they are not happy about the stewardship of Ken Ofori-Atta, and I think many are jubilating and happy that he's been arrested and hope that he will be taken back to Ghana to face justice. When we talk about ICE, I think those who watch foreign news and sometimes social media, these officials go around to enforce the immigration policy of the US. So most of their activities, sometimes they go to public places, factories, and other places to do mass sweeps and arrest. But in the case of Ken Ofori-Atta, we are hearing that it was like a targeted operation. It wasn't like a mass sweep. And as we know, this is a high-end residential complex. So it appears they went there purposely to arrest him. And once they got him into the car, they moved.
I see. We also understand that his visa was revoked or expired. I don't know which is which. But what do you know about this particular one?
Yes, for this piece of information, I am learning from the Attorney General, who has said that his visa was revoked as far back as July 2025, and he was given up to November 2025 to leave the United States. And of course, if a visa is revoked, then that means continuous stay beyond the grace period is a violation of the immigration laws of the United States. So it appears that is the reason they have arrested him. We are also told that on the 20th of this month, he will have his first appearance in court in relation to this arrest. What is not clear is that is whether he would be granted bail prior to the court appearance, or he will remain in detention up to the 20th of January when he makes his first appearance in court to perhaps challenge his arrest and detention.
I see. Great. Let me come to you, Haruna. I mean, Ofori-Atta served this country for almost 8 years as finance minister. And, you know, of course, he traveled out on the permission, I mean, notice to the state that he was going for health care, medical care and all of that. Why is it so difficult for him to come? Is it because he's still undergoing treatment? Or, I mean, why is it so difficult for him to come back and face face accountability or be accountable to the people, as it were?
Hello. Everybody knows that Ofori-Atta went out because he was unwell. We know what happened to him in the COVID period. If Ghanaians are so concerned about why he's outside, to come and face accountability, somebody who has faced accountability in absentia and been charged and jailed, the government is not interested to go after that person. Nobody's asking questions about that person. Set it up. What's happening? Nobody's asking. Government is not interested. Yeah, she has to come and serve her sentence. Nobody's talking about it. It is clear that from what I heard from Manasseh, that this was a targeted arrest that was made at him. However, the Attorney General has not been truthful to us, saying that his visa has been what? That his visa was what? Revoked. His visa was never revoked. His visa expired. And he wrote for extension. And at the time that he was being arrested, the ICE people were not having this information of he applied. In the US, if your visa is being revoked, they will pick you out. How can his visa be revoked and then they will still leave him there, or even giving me a deadline and does not follow up to implement the consequences of the revoking of the distance? The Attorney General should learn to be very truthful to us at most times. We need accurate information. If you don't have information...
So your point is that the visa did not... I mean, it was not revoked.
It was not revoked.
It rather expired.
Yeah, it expired. And it happened. It's normal. Even U.S. citizens are affected with the ICE activities. Even U.S. citizens. You heard recently, one woman was killed, right?
But that one was, that's a totally different matter.
No, but is the immigration people?
Yes.
Yeah, so is it not the same people?
Totally different.
No, but is it not the same people?
Was shot in a car.
No, I'm saying that, is it not the same immigration people? They're the same people. They are doing this an exercise they do. And Ofori-Atta is caught up in that particular exercise because his visa has been expired. He will be given the opportunity to appear in court because the legal team is working on that. As to whether where he lived was closer to the White House, go and check the Jubilee House. There are houses closer to the Jubilee House. People are living in there. Are those people rich? Go and check the former the castle. Go and check people who basically cannot earn so much.
Your point is
so it's not about you being closer. Let's not try to exaggerate matters.
I mean, the point is, from what Manasseh is saying, it's an upmarket area. And if our finance minister, who has done all the things he's done, data bank, everything, is living in an upmarket area in another country.
You see, we are speaking to a specific matter. As I'm in Accra, I live in somebody's house. If you see the house I come out from, you think it's not my house. All the while when I was appointed a deputy general secretary, somebody gave me accommodation to stay. Okay, I don't have a house, but I stay in a house. If you see me coming from this thing, where is the expensive place? Where the minister, the wife pays for his this thing. One minister, the wife pays.
You don't want to talk about
so,
the one in the Washington.
you see, if you see me come out from that place and you think it is mine, let's look at the substance. Let's look at the actual content, and let's not try to garnish issues that will bring suspicion and then expand the discussion for people to begin to say, how can everybody in US hate Ofori-Atta? How can everybody? That is not possible.
You said the Ghanaians he has met, and one student.
Not even one has even said anything.
He said one student. That's
okay. I love Manasseh, but I think some of these things, sensational reports on
given all that we've been hearing, why won't he come back and clear his name, and everybody is fine?
Has he not responded through his lawyers? Is our legal system not allowing lawyers representation? The legal system allowed. How was Sedinam tried? How was Sedinam tried?
No, but Sedinam started in trial. No, she started in Ghana and later left for the US.
The point is that does the legal system allow you to be tried in absentia?
So your point is that if the legal system allows
you are a lawyer,
which is the case,
it is the case.
He should be tried in absentia.
He can be tried if they think they have.
I mean, this is beyond. This is beside the legal matter.
Yes.
Or the legal process.
Yes.
But he served as finance minister. There are a few questions to answer. Will it not be appropriate to appear and answer those questions and say, okay, these are the questions you have for me. These are my answers. My hands are clean.
If there are no options to answer them, he would have come. There are options. His health is more important. It's better to treat my health rather than to come and answer questions that law allows somebody to answer for me.
Very well. Manasseh had a quick point to make.
Yes, he has made a strong point, which is trying to, or he said Attorney General has not been truthful, and that Ken Ofori-Atta's visa
expired.
He rather is being untruthful.
How so?
The fact that Ken Ofori-Atta's visa has not expired. His visa is expected to expire on the 14th of February 2026.
Oh, 2026.
Three visas. The US visa is expected to expire on the 14th of February 2026. He has a UK visa that is expected to expire on April 21, 2032, and he also has a Canadian visa that is expected to expire on May 31st, 2031. So there's a point in there that his visa has not been revoked, it's expired. That is false.
Okay, so given the circumstance, it could only be a revocation that will make ICE now come after him.
Exactly.
Very well.
Is it Salam?
Not expiration. Not expiration.
we are all citizens.
No, after
listen up. When you asked him the first question, what did he tell you? He told you that he absolutely has no information on such, except the report of the Attorney General. This is an afterthought. Please.
But
has he provided any evidence? Let him show the let him show the bio data of the I am telling you, let him show the bio data. He's the one accusing. Let him show the bio data.
Right,
that is not truthful.
All right, no problem.
I personally have also heard with the Attorney General that the said arrest is not simply because of a visa expiring or whatever, and that it is a fallout from the extradition request they made. So let's put that in perspective. And again, Haruna, I think that from what I have also seen in confidence, reports I have seen, the visa is not expired. It was cancelled rather. The word they have to use is revoked. It was cancelled. And it was cancelled such that they had to ambush Ken Ofori-Atta, literally, from the 11124 address to pick him up. It wasn't as though, the random search where your documents are demanded. He was picked up and sent to detention. Of course, as one of the countries that also has a lot of respect for rule of law, they will give you every opportunity to respond to whatever you would need to respond to before the courts. But from what I know, this arrest is simply a fallout from the extradition process that the AG had initially made to the US authorities. So let's put that in perspective. But Solomon, coming down to our country, I recall when the Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta was still the finance minister, in one of his interviews, he was asked whether he would resign when the indicators were so awful. His response was that he's a father and he cannot abandon his children. I wonder why the fatherliness in him has suddenly evaporated. Clearly, this is not
chasing the father.
Yes.
People are chasing the father.
People are asking questions of the father, and I think that if it was down to integrity issues, if I were him, if I had the balls he had to take the kind of decisions he took,
you'd have come down.
I would have come down.
He's sick.
No. You see, Solomon, if somebody is sick and cannot attend to court hearing, your medical reports that you submit to the courts would even make the court sometimes adjourn your case. They can even adjourn for a year for you. Clearly.
But he has sent that. He has,
you see, but Solomon,
Mayo Clinic.
Solomon, you see, as a public office holder, it should be in your interest to want to answer questions in the minimum. Sometimes these questions are not in the form of sending you to court per se, right? Salom, I have this document. I don't understand. How did we arrive at 55 instead of 50? You may be able to provide sufficient explanation. That, I mean, does not lead to a court matter. Why is he running away? Initially, we were all skeptical that truly maybe he's not well. That's what those of us down there, the Trotro people, thought, and that he needed to receive medical attention. But you check the date that between him and the OSP correspondence. Our return in, was it May?
Yeah, in June.
In June, and dates are given, and then they come back to say that he is receiving medical attention. So if the next 10 years or 20 years, there's medical attention, whatever he did in office, he should not account for it. And you see, Haruna is quick to point to a former Maslock CEO whose matter had been tried and says that she should come down and face whatever. But Ken Ofori-Atta should stay there and receive medical attention. This is contrasting. And I think that, let
me, yes.
It's not.
I want to go to Franklin now.
I think I should allow you to go to, but Haruna, whatever it is, whilst you beat the hen, you should beat the hawk equally. He has held our money and is now running away from accountability. I think that is not. It's not fair. It's not fair to all of us. No, we are asking questions.
It is not proven.
Haruna, we are out of line.
I mean, his eyes have detained the person. Well, what do you know about this, Franklin?
Hi. Okay, this is me. Right. You know, I feel so sad as sovereign listening to this whole tale, the saga of my good friend Ken. I never thought it would get here. And I think his lawyers have done him a disservice, a huge disservice. Because it's the lawyers who were running their mouths, always writing, making all kinds of commentary in the media, almost disrespecting our institutions, you know. And when you do that, the fact that you may be PS with somebody at school, if a person is a special prosecutor or the attorney general, does not mean that you should actually extend it to cases that are very sensitive. I think they forgot immediately that America is a different institution. And America, you know, what some of us don't really realize that these Westerners, you can go and do whatever it is. The way they deal with their own persons, politicians, right? Look at Sarkozy. They threw him in jail, right? If Trump had not gotten, well, of course he was impeached for some of the stupid things he says, by the way, and if he had misbehaved, and he does misbehave once more, he could be thrown to jail. It's easy. So the accountability levels are higher. The assumption that you can leave this country, serve your country, and then there are questions being asked, and you go to a jurisdiction and they say, please come. And let's discuss this matter. And then you, more or less, through your lawyers, basically tell them all kinds of things. It's unfortunate. And I think they forgot that people were watching. Look, I was asked by, maybe I'll say this now. I was asked by, you know, I have Republican roots, more or less. I mean, I have to say this. And I was asked by one of them, an elderly man, he said, but what about this, your guy? I said, oh, well, it's a nice guy, but I mean, people say, they say he should just come and answer questions. Then he just said, well, he will answer questions. And I left it there. I never really said anything again. I don't know whatever they did. But you see, people there you play with $1 cedi, $1, you be in jail. Look, people even exchange, how to call it, wine. If you give, there was this prime minister who got wine as a gift and probably did not even declare. What happened to you? You had to resign. You know, so the levels of accountability there are quite higher than what we do here. So the moment you try to hide under the fact that, oh, you are going to be prosecuted, the questions they were asking was, but there are ministers under him, there are people under him, he was paying, overseeing, who are currently facing the law. Why is he not coming? They say sick. So it was like a cantata. And I think the lawyers should learn a lesson. I am totally disappointed, and I think that it shouldn't have ended the way it ended. I thought maybe if you write a book, and then we all read it, not to be a statesman.
Very well, Rashid Tanko, your thoughts on the Ofori-Atta ICE detention?
The time is up.
Salom, if people are talking of accountability, fight of corruption, and they are defending Ofori-Atta, defending and going on top of hills and crying foul that he's going to be persecuted, then they don't have Ghana at heart. Salom, when was the last time you passed by the Borch Cathedral that they were going to build? When was the last time? Have you passed to see what's going on over there? Have you seen how they've wasted our resources, our hard-earned resources? Hard-earned resources. People were dying. People were dying for their own money. You diverted state resources to dig a hole, costing us almost $58 million. In fact, the latest audit indicated almost $90+ million.
Those guys are quite interesting.
Why are we doing this to ourselves? And the man is cooling off in United States, enjoying himself. In fact, the day the ice picked him up, we said hallelujah. our prayer has come to pass.
So for drama.
He should come and look. He should come and answer questions. Finance minister, not like a former CEO or a former director somewhere. You are talking of somebody, an exchequer, somebody who's holding your purse.
Very well. So
for 8 damn good years.
Very well.
Haruna, I beg you, this one there, be with us. Elijah Haruna, be with us. Let's all pray for Ken to come home.
Very well. Nice one. Prof.
It might be activities.
Yes. So great.
So he's 50 years now.
Okay.
2 years ago. So you still don't. 50 years you need to bring down.
That's 2 years ago. All right.
2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Yes,
okay.
He went and celebrated it.
Belated one. Prof. Yes, your thoughts about this accountability, Ken Ofori-Atta. Should we allow him some more time? What should we be doing now that ICE has picked him up?
Well, I don't know much about the legal matters around it. I just think the whole circles that has been generated around this is just quite unfortunate. I definitely believe in accountability. So, he has served. If there are questions about his period that he has to answer, he should be made to answer. I just feel that if indeed he's not well, then the process we should be humane. Not that, I think some, before during the COVID, he looked a little sick.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what the legal processes are around it, but I think definitely he should be willing to account for his stewardship. But at the same time, we should be humane. If the person is genuinely not well, and there are any arrangement that will ensure that he is accountable in a humane way, we should go for that.
Very well. Duncan, you wanted to make a quick point.
When I was coming to discuss the 1 year, I think one of the good things from us at COPEC, the figures we have is that this government has left over 10.8 billion in the pockets of Ghanaians as a result of the reduction in fuel prices, due largely again to the sustainability of the city's performance. That is quite instructive, and I think it should be put on record. But to end, I think that I side with Prof. Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta, come down. You will still be protected by the laws of the land, and I'm sure Ghanaians would help where necessary to ensure that your health is also not varied against you. Please come and answer questions on finance.
Also on the COPEC issue, the reduction is not only on the sustainability of the city, it's because there is oversupply in the market. Centum and what have you have come in, which also contribute to the pricing, not just that.
Very well. So this is how we conclude today's edition of the program. My name is Salom Adunu. Thanks so much for doing the view and listening. Have a good afternoon.